L'chaim. The rest is Achai Shekech, but Avram booming. Der Lange, der Hecher is. Avram der Lange. L'chaim. The Hecher is. Heard from Mir Simche Kalmanson. He lives in France. You know the guy? He's a French. He has a Hitler. There's a Hitler kid. You know what I'm talking about? Mir Simche. He must be your age, older than you. His father, no, your wife's uncle, Mir Simche, from Abugel, yeah. So he was in Yechidis, and he was a little kid, and his mother was holding him. So the Rebbe asked him, his mother is Kalmanson, his name is Shalom Mendel. Shalom Mendel's wife. A daughter from was Uzil Chazanov's daughter. The Rebbe asked him, wie heißt der Mingel? So he answered, she says, Mir Simche. The Rebbe got up from his chair, doch der Seide Mir Simche, ich hab ihn gekannt von Petersburg. Gewinnt nach Heicherit, the Rebbe said. And when Maise, this Mir Simche got pretty tall. But their Yingel grew taller than his whole family. His mother is got short, right? She was a short lady. And his father also not tall. This guy grew up in Nustam Heich. Gash Musa Baruchni. Is that interessant? When the Rabbi Avram said something right now, which reminded me of a nice story that happened around Morristown. What happened was, we have in Morristown a yeshiva Tiferes Bachurim for Bali Tshuva. Fadivas haben shein Tshuva getan. Even the Fadivas darf noch Tshuva getan. So, is Baruch Hecht, but you know this guy, Baruch Hecht. That song he's from Lameda, California. Baruch, he's in charge of all the programs, bringing kids in for winter programs, summer programs, getting kids in. So by the Shas, they make a winter program or a summer program. He goes around to each of these kids. These are college kids. They're coming. Some of them are a little from getting through the shluchim flip them in for a Shabbos in Morristown. Or a week in Morristown between the Chag and New Year's. He brings them in for a week. So he goes to every guy and he interviews him. He speaks to him. The one kid tells Baruch, you know, my family has a shaykhis with Lubavitch. What's your shaykhis? I don't know. My grandfather always said, we're shaykhis to Lubavitch. So Baruch says to him, find out. I really want to know what's the shaykhis to Lubavitch. He gets back to him and says, my grandfather wants to talk to you on the phone. Here, I'm going to give you his number. Here's a time to call him. He wants to talk to you on the phone. So he made a time to talk to him on the phone. So this year, the story happens 15 years ago. And the Yid that's telling the story is in his 80s already. So it's a Meiser from Yorn Sirik. He's saying a story which happened in his childhood with his grandfather. This goes back to the Tofresh Tzaddik, the Tofresh Pez, when he was growing up. They came from a shtetl in Rusland or in Lita, and the grandfather immigrated to America with the kids, the families. And when they immigrated, they moved to Minnesota, and the kids used to learn in public school. And then every day after public school, they went to a Hebrew day school. That was the best chinuch you could get in the 1920s. There was no yeshivas in Minnesota. New York, there was maybe a few yeshivas. In Minnesota, garnished. There was a Hebrew day school, which means every day, Nebach, the kids, after muching the whole day in public school, have to sit down to learn Chumash, Rashi, Mishnah. You can imagine, it was such a pain in the neck. We have our own kids after 1 o'clock, out. These kids were after a full day. Good. So, the Zayde, who was a Mider Talmud, a Mider Musmach, the Alte Mider Yeshiva. He was very out there, and he came across the 1920s. He gets a phone call from Chicago, and in Chicago, they're saying that they had a big hatzlocha in their Hebrew day school. They have a class that's graduating and wants to have a Hebrew day high school. Usually it finished. By the time 9th grade came, no one was interested anymore. The kids were on their own. High school, they're finished. They're not going to any Hebrew school anymore. And that's the way the kids never were lost. But this class was a mutzlach class in Chicago in the 1920s. They want to go for another year, high school, 9th grade. So we heard you're here, Mr. Amir Talmud, and they asked, would you be comfortable coming to Chicago? It's not so far, to be the Rosh Yeshiva. So he was very excited. He wasn't he wasn't expecting. Machaya in America, he took it, he went. And then every time his kids, his Eineklach, became Bar Mitzvah, they went to live with him and joined his Hebrew high school. It was Matzliach. All after hours, after public school. So he said his turn came, he became Bar Mitzvah, I don't know what year this is, and he joined his grandfather in this Chicago, left Minnesota, and he went to Chicago. Kitzer comes to Chicago, the Tzil Terazan Mais. Came the winter time, and it's cold outside. The father, you see the grandfather, the Zayda, every night comes late at night, 8 o'clock at night, and a black car comes, and the grandfather puts on his pelts, and he goes out. It's happening one night, another night. Finally, he tells his Zayda, where are you going? Middle of the night, every night, where are you going? So he says he's going to teach Yidden Torah. He said these Yidden work hard to make a living. They get home late after the Shem Shabbos. They work very hard. They come together to make a minyan maitiv 8 o'clock in the shul. And I learn with them a little Gemara, a bisschen Mishnayos. So he tells his Zayda, I don't understand. You do that the whole day. You are our teacher in the Mesifta here. Do Shingetong genug. Now it's time to be home. It's your old guy. I want you to stay home with us. So Zayda said like this. This is all he's telling Baruch is my Zayda told me, mein Kind, when Mr. Hashem, he says, it's coming the Zeit, I'm going to come to Maila. They're going to ask me, was hast du getan? Für Yiddishkeit. That's what they're going to ask. When I come to Maila, they're not going to ask me, wie viel hast du gelernt? Was hast du getan für Yiddishkeit? Ich will sie sagen, jede in der Nacht, I used to go in the cold, rain, snow, shine, and young Elena mit die Yidden, sie machen warm lichtig. And then he said, they're going to open the Gan Eden and say, Geh. This is what he tells his Einekel. He says, years went by. One day I get a call, years later. This guy calls me, he says, my name is Mr. So-and-so Katz. Mr. Katz. I'm a mashgiach for the OU, and I'm traveling through the city that he was, this guy himself, the Zayda now, not the Einekel, the Zayda. I was traveling, he lived, I think, in Minnesota. And he said he's traveling now in Minnesota. He says, before I went on this trip, my father, who's his father? Yankel Katz, Yankel Katz from from Sam Sam. Yankel Katz from Chicago. He told me, ich darf dir aufsuchen, the ene klach of this and this Yid, the Mirer Musmich, and I have to find him and I have a message for him. Are you, du bist go von Jener, right? Yeah. Where can I meet you in Minnesota? We're going to get together in a restaurant. I have something to tell you, a gruz von mein Zayde, von mein Tatens zu dir. They meet up. He says like this. This is the message my father, Yankel Katz, wants you to know. Tov Reish Tzadik, the Friedige Rebbe, came and made his first visit in Chicago. He came back from base. But Tov Reish Tzadik, the Rebbe, came to Chicago. And Yankel Katz says, he says, my father said, Yankel became Yemot, übergegeben in der Chosset zum Friedige Rebbe. In Gans. He met the Friedige Rebbe. He met him. Could he met him already before the Friedige Rebbe made it to Chicago. He came in Gans in the Rebbe's Amensh. And Yankel wanted to be poil on this Zayd, Rosh Yeshiva, that he should come and meet the Friedige Rebbe in Yechidus. And this Yid, your Zayda, he's telling him, your Zayda says, if the Rebbe is going to say a Shir, ich will come and have a Shir. When the Rebbe came to the train station, I came to be Mekabel Pono. Aber reingehen, ach Yechidus, nehmen Sholem, ich bin nicht eingewinkt, ich bin ein Litwischer Yid. Ich weiß, was das meint. Let me know if the Rebbe is saying a Shir. Again, but you know my father. His father put effort and pressure on him. He was the Rosh Yeshiva, and he made him come take Yechidus by the Frierdiker Rebbe. Imagine, Frierdiker Rebbe then was how old Tafrish Sadik? He was 50, Frierdiker Rebbe. This Yid is really Yid ben Shmeinin. He was Amir Musmach. Kommt rein zu Frierdiker Rebbe, Yechidus. The Rebbe asks him what his name was. Tells the Rebbe his name. He says, "Vos tust du? What do you do?" He said, "Ich bin a Lehrer in the yeshiva." He teaches in the yeshiva. The Rebbe said, "Aber vos tust du?" So he said, he thought the Rebbe was hard of hearing. He says again, "Ich hab gesagt, ich bin a Lehrer in the yeshiva." He told the Rebbe, "I teach in the yeshiva." The Rebbe says, "Dos tust du for sich. Vos tust du for Yiddishkeit, for Klal Yisrael." This is what the Rebbe told him. This is what the Frierdiker Rebbe told him. Just imagine, the Rebbe says, the Frierdiker Rebbe, he's speaking to an 80-year-old guy, a Litvisher, who's a Rosh Yeshiva, and he tells him, he says, with such, if the Rebbe said it the way the Rebbe says it, this guy was Nisapich. And when Yankel Katz, the Hemshech of the Maisa was, that Yankel Katz then told him, you have to start being mechazik to the younger life. You have to start giving us shir 8 o'clock. Yankel was the driver of that black Cadillac, whatever it was. He used to pick him up every night. So to Mazei durchnehmen dem Wort. Vorstellen der Rebbe, Frierdiker Rebbe says a Wort. To Mazei durchnehmen dem Yidden, that he realized that he's 80 years old. Wird kommen eben in den Himmel. Wir sagen, ein Scheile mit ein Teres. Was hast du getan für Klal Yisrael? That's it. Lernt in die Yeshiva. Das tut für sich. Kolponi, he just reminded me of this mice. I'm in the mice. This is a story he wanted that Baruch Hecht has to hear the story. Made in the mice. Aber wenn ich gehe uns gerät, Abraham said, I have to speak about the Chinuch. I told you, I stand Farbrengen. It's Shvat. Chinuch. Ich weiß, was ich kann reden wegen Chinuch. Abraham schweigt. Ich kann es nicht geschreckt. Es ist nicht das Schwache davon. Ich kann schweigen. Anyway, is I must haskell von Chinuch. The nekude is that we have to look at our shlichus. It's our emes shlichus. It's just getut for sich. Sometimes it's only normal that we think about our finances. We think about, is it covering bills? And sometimes we even think to ourselves, this class I have this year, they give me more, they're more paid in something else than naches. So what am I doing here anyways? Can't wait to retire, Mr. Shem. Right? I had one Rosh Yeshiva, he once said, this is temporary. When I turn 60, I'm moving to Israel. And I'm going to write Svarim. The Chaz v'Sholem, our job is sich honor in them. It's not a technical thing. Da redt sich mit tut for Klal Yisrael. We get every kid that we give to him. The him is a feeling of is a yid and is a neshama. And he matters to the Eibishter, Kipshuti Mamish. And if he's a chosid, if he's a chsiddish, this is what matters to the Eibishter. And we plant in them a feeling of a very mamtonu. We steht etwas hecher von dem gas. That's our job. So it's all in our hands. So man darf es tun mit der Übergebenkeit und wissen, das ist unser ganzes Liches in der Welt. To pay their bills and to have nachas from our own children is der Chaga. Was ist unser Tafkid? Was ist unser ganzes Tag? So a beautiful story today in the Chabad. They have their article. I don't know who wrote the article. Who wrote the article, it says a name. I don't know whose information this is. He's speaking about Rabbi Chadikov. This guy had a connection with Rabbi Chadikov. And he has all this information that Rabbi Chadikov used to say and share. So this article focuses on Rabbi Chadikov's yachas with the Frierdiker Rebbe, connection with the Frierdiker Rebbe. It's very, very interesting things. And one of the things it says there is like this. Rabbi Chadikov said that when he came with the Frierdiker Rebbe here to America, it wasn't so posh. Because he was a Grisa Knack in Latvia. And when the he wasn't Latvia. He wasn't. The Frierdiker Rebbe left Latvia. And where did he go? He went to Poland. He went to Atvots, to Varsha, Atvots. When he left Latvia, Tzadik Aleph or something like that, Tzadik Beis, he already moved to Varsha. And Chadikov became very connected to Lubavitch from Petes to Tzadik Beis, but that was it. Then he stayed in Latvia doing his askonas. The Rebbe on his way running away from the Nazis in Machshemom, ended up back in Latvia and took a plane from Latvia to Stockholm. So that happened in Latvia, and he took with him Chodakov. He wasn't with Chodakov for 8 years, from Tzadik Beis until Tzadik Tes. They weren't together. But the Rebbe took with him Chodakov and his wife. So the MS, the Latvian community couldn't know that Chodakov was going for good. They only took like a small suitcase. Shouldn't be achshak. Was say he's going with the Friedrich Rebbe. Was he want the Rebbe's a mensch, the Rebbe's a secretary. What's going on here? It was all hidden. It was all under. This is what they say there. Interessant. I never knew this. So then he says like this. He says, he came on the boat. On the boat, the Friedrich Rebbe told him, a pencil, and he starts dictating to him what we're going to do in America. 10 things. Sends off. 3 things with kids. We're going to be Mahapich America. 3 things with the youth. Children. 3 things with youth. Another 3 things we're going to print Sfarim and literature. Make it even in America. This is on the boat. And he tells Chadikov, we're taking over America. And Chadikov said, not in this article, this was Amola Yuman, came out from Label Groner, Tes Adar, Toshim Lamvid, Label Groner, Farbrengen with Chadikov for a little bit, because Chadikov himself also was saved from the Nazis, Tes Adar, came to America. So Farbrengen with Label. So Label wrote out a shimmer from the Farbrengen. So he writes over there that he told, Chadikov told Label that though that settle was on the Rebbe's desk, the Friedrich Rebbe's desk, Tovshin Yud, Shvat, and he said everything the Rebbe is doing, this was Tovshin Lamed, is all based on that settle. This is what Kolikov told Liberman. It's all from that little settle that he wrote. The ganze Ma'apech in America, the Friedrich Rebbe is alles vorgesehen when he came on the ship. Unbelievable. Anyways, noch a Sache Chadikov erzählt. Soon we get to the word I wanted to say, but noch a gewaltige Nekude, Chadikov says, Metaye. Who was the Friedrich Rebbe? It's the Friedrich Rebbe. If he had to be Metaye, what was the Friedrich Rebbe? The Friedrich Rebbe in a chai be'etzem. No matter what was going on, sorry, it was mucherai, it was financial burdens. The Rebbe, he was always hired in the whole situation. Allemaal getracht projects, große Sachen, geht übernehmen. Nothing affected him. Geblieben chai be'etzem mamish. In the tire, the Friedrich Rebbe was a schwere Lebente gehad. Sorris to Mesiris Nefesh. Chadikov was Metayer at different Rebbe. Chadikov was Metayer, the Friedrich Rebbe, like the way we're Metayer at it. I was saying, that great guy, mamish. He saw it. He was right there. He says, the Friedrich Rebbe going to chai be'etzem. He said one time, the Friedrich Rebbe asked him, "Was machst du?" So he told the Friedrich Rebbe, he's sort of, wie sagt man das? He's mooching sich basically. He's pushing his way through. He looked at him like, come on, He passed us this. So the Meister was like this. The Friedrich Rebbe, Chadikov says that when the Rebbe came here to America, he came with the Rebbe to America, had der Herd, Chadikov said, der Herd, that the Friedrich Rebbe, and he said the Rebbes, I don't know how it goes together, basically. The Friedrich Rebbe and the Rebbe, they're the only ones that are be'emes occupied and worried about doing what steht to make lasis lois borech dir betachtein. That was the Rebbe. He was involved with Grace Askonim, he knew Grace Eden, he was a goodist, right? He says, the Rebbe mit Amol, that the Rebbe, he's the only one was tut and lasis lois borech dir betachtein. So he was machlit. He's putting away himself in Ganzen. Alle seine Pläne, alle seine Unionen. Und geht sich zustellen, sei Aris helfen. Mir alle sein die Kavon. That was his way of saying, that's that word. Ayid, ich bin am Mumching, Aisha Chinuch. He was Aisha, made in the Kirit given, Kilo. And der Herr, as es war eine Emes, es war eine Betachteine. Und wer tut das der Rebbe? The Mele, he's putting away his whole agenda. He has no life. And that evet zustellen sich zu sehen, Areis helfen die Jiden durchführen die Kavanah again. That's the way we have to go. Our attitude every day, we come to Cheder, we come to Yeshiva, we have to have this Hanoch in Kopf. And the Rebbe sind uns Mizaki given. Like Avram said before, to sein am Olam mit Teir Olam Yisro. To Areis helfen die Kavanah jene von Lasisli, is what did we dachten, darf sich ganz nah weglegen. We have, Baruch Hashem, a lot of good, holy good things going on. Nothing is as important. We're doing grace Sachen. We're raising money for so many projects. Most of us are also. Baruch Hashem, we're helping our Yidden. We're making Shat Chonim. We're making Shidduchim. We're helping, doing tons of things. Wer bin ich? Was tue ich auf der Welt? Mein Schlichus is helfen dich, Chevre. The Rebbe's army, right? You know, the Rebbe told the guy by Akofis, he told him, it was during Melchem Yom Kippurim. The Rebbe had gestormt to let the army do what he's got when he Simchas Torah. The Rebbe turned, learn sich von mir, the Rebbe told him, in Hebrew, learn from me. Mein Sava, 90% under 20 years old, as the Rebbe said. 90% under 20. Meine Soldaten. Who's making these Soldaten? Wer does? We got to give it to the kids. Man darf sie geben, dem Regesh, at the ganze Welt steht auf seine Places. How do you give it to them? Of them is, versteht sich, jeder eine weiß Punkt, genau, how he does it. But in the Kudas Advorim, we get this, man darf sie geben, Poshet, Ava, Vechiva. The kid has to feel, the kid, the Bocher, whoever it is, whoever we're dealing with. The mamish have to feel, I woke up this morning for you, and I prepared a good cheer last night for you. I wanted you to be happy today. It was worth losing an hour of sleep because I knew you're going to appreciate it. Du sollst bei denen Kopf soll sich ablegen, wie Geschmack die Gemorre ist, wie Geschmack der Tesvis ist, Geschmack der Mein Mercedes ist. Chaim, Lebroch. Chaim, der Elon sagen Lechaim, ist doch nicht Farbrengen. Ich meine, wer bin ich so heißen, der ältere chassidische Jiden sagen Lechaim, aber von deswegen, Chaim, Rab Zalmanov, Mechube sagen Lechaim, Rab Karp, Mechube sagen Lechaim, Rab Marozov, Mechube sagen Lechaim. Palazzoni ist das gut, sag Lechaim, Lechaim. Wer noch in der Weiße Bärt? Sussi, Rebbe Sussman, was heißt das doch einmal? Rebbe Sussman, Chaim Lebroch. Rabbi Rappaport, Chaim Lebroch. Sag Lechaim, no? Wer noch, der Weiße Bärt, that's it, we cover the Bärt, fine. 90%. Chaim. No, we didn't come here tonight. I for sure didn't come here tonight to give lessons in the Chinuch. Good. Nicht nur meine Anivis, aber ich halte sich bei Emisch für eine große Mechanik. It's between me and you. I should first try to be a mensch with my own kids in the house. You know what I'm saying? Who's my temper? Bechul. Ich bin nicht kein großer Mechanik. I do it the old Russian way, you know what I mean? Rakopon. Bis ein Tag gekommen, einfach nach Farbrengen Shvat. Es was in der Gehe Shvat, a Kindes am Mechanik. Seht man sei? Das heißt, Shvat is a day, was jeder Chosid kommt zum Reben. A Chosid kommt zum Reben. Frisch sich auf. Da loschen in Chassidus. Loschen ist, an Hanikre Boschen Jiddisch, abfrischen. Rotzi Beshuf, Mechai Saliki, abfrischen sich. Schatz, der Chai Saliki steht nach Zior, in Slapschus, der ist zugetrogen zum Mechai in der Welt, is das doch hebig Elikus doch geen Mulvade. Der Rebeste, doch der Rebeste. Was hat der Rebeste gesagt mit der Welt? Wie Israel Frieden sagen, es ist doch nicht kein paar Heisen. Der Rebeste mit der Welt, es ist kein paar Heisen. Der Rebeste ist der Rebeste. Aber der Rebeste, der hat man, als wir sein nicht da. That's the Maimer from this is was it Legani. After the Vater, Mechayes kommen zu Akkorde, nicht nur der Vater, Mahave. Mahave meint, man darf, als der Rebens darf man selbst Mahave sein. Das ist nicht da. Der Chaie sein, du bist damit ziehst, beginnt ein bisschen enhancen, dein Leben, zukommen ein bisschen, Lebendigkeit, Frischkeit. Und Mahave, der Pschad, der Rebens darf der Rest reisen von ein Webes am Nuchlot. Das bleibt da allemal, ein Webes am Nuchlot. Der Chiddisch ist, als was trägt sich tiefer rein in dem, kennt Tage, kommen zu Hakore, also das Tag ein Web, in frühe Horvet und Warte mit Chayes. Und was ist eine Lebendigkeit, der Likus? Die Likus geworden, als Sofa, mit du Beres, jetzt kannst du gehen tiefer in der Herren. Der Herren ist du bekannt. Der Herren schön wegen der Webersten. Was lang ist, können wir gut mit den Webersten. Das ist krusch spät. Und der Geisel Likus steht, das ist eine Zugetrogenkeit. Das habe ich auch Likus. Das ist ein Rotzi Beschuh. Was heißt Rotzi Beschuh? Der Rotzi ist, so sich anhören, das war eine Weihe, als bei Etzem, Likus ist Hecher von Welt. Der Rebbe ist Hecher von Welt. Nur von dem, Likus hat keine Akbolis nicht, keine Regen kommen in der Welt. Und das war Geist Rotzi Beschuh, ist Gesede. Michat ist der Herzog in dem Geist, wie es zugetragen, Herzog in der Zier, zurück, in dem Zier hebt sich an, also Likus ist bei Etzem Hecher von Zier. Hecher von Zier, kommt ein Zier, Rotzi Beschuh, Gesede. Aber uns, Jeden, wir sagen doch Mugbolin, can't stand in allemal in zweit nur ist. Bei uns steht also, oder steht in Zugetragenkeit. Oder es kommt gut schwer. Darf jeder eine sich äußern von sein Ziel. Sich äußern von unserer Askonus, von unserer Zugetragenkeit, was mir verhabt und nicht was. Man darf gedenken, was steht in der Sache? Was ist das? Why did I do that to myself? What's that? To run after the kids and them. And there's a chutzpah yagar. To call his father, I feel so bad. My father by night after a whole day of work, he would come and he would talk to the parents in the farm, push it, suffer. Like, poor guy. He put up the whole day with these kids in the school. Now he's got to deal with these parents. And never mind, some of those parents gave him a hard time. They had to run for his money. This poor guy, my father. Oh my God. Anyways, he did this for many years till he dropped. He passed away from all this misery. Just a joke. Well, the Rike is that he passed away from COVID. Don't worry about it. The Malamdus was great. That was the best part of his life. The Rike is, kommt zu gehen, Jut Shvat, nach Gedenken, was steht nach that Ziel? Oh, das will ich beenden, das Poshet. I want to be in a classroom. I want to teach the Bocheri, Teire. That's what's bothering me. Ich tue das, weil ich bin dem Rebbe Zachosti. Ich tue das, weil ich bin gestanden bei der Rebbe Farbrengen. Ich habe gehört der Rebbe Siches, gelernt der Rebbe Siches. Und der Rebbe hat gesessen und der Rebbe hat gemahnt und gesagt, jeden darf gehen auf Schliches. Und das ist dein Teve. Der Rebbe ist ein Rebbe. Ein Rebbe, the whole union of a Rebbe is, machen gut jeden. Geben Chais jeden. Und der Rebbe sagt uns, man sagt es bemuchig, that this generation, us, wie wird man leben? How are we going to live if we're going to do Schliches? If we're going to become Melamdim, become Mechanchim. Das wird Aris bringen unsere Neshome. Not only because it's the Tzavasho, weil das ist die Tzavasho, ist doch liegt Kavon so hart, das was schon bringe Chais, because this is the Emet. This is Tachos HaKavone. Is Avada, as mis verbunden mit Tachos HaKavone, dort ist der Eberster, dort mit Keira Chaim, und dort mit Tum, alle Broches, alle Aschpois, alle Chais. Aber Jut Shvat haben sich äußern von alle Geschbings. Ein paar Nacht haben so sich äußern, der Mann sich, was liegt hinter dem Ziel? Was Ziel? I'm a lamb, mein Ziel. Was Ziel? Was liegt hinter dem Ziel? Mein Kosten, ich begebe dem Leben. Das ist mein Hus. Mein Hus ist, was ich habe sich zugestellt, tun, was der Rebbe will. Und was der Rebbe will, ist der Rotzene Eis, der Rotzene Atmos. Das handelt sich wegen Tachlis HaKavone. Das handelt sich wegen der ganzen Remes, die ganze Welt. Ich kann hoffen, als Schuss, hoffen nach Heilig. Ich kann hoffen, als Schuss, zustellen sich, hoffen nach Heilig, etwas nach Heilig, und der Rebbe ist Heilig Rafede. Sie steht nach jedem Jahr, uns Begeisterung. Hast du, what's the lotion I say in English? Has to animate us. And what? What's the logic? Invigorate us. He's all positive. Mit a chayis golu, I made him take a chayis. Bekitzer, it's not only you tracks. I think if we want the hatzloche that we're going to have, not just with our Talmud, with ourselves, that we should have positive happy days in yeshiva. Avada, is that we're going to be for sure impact our Talmud, obviously, and impact our lives when we come home. Aber this Indian of Rot Yeshua, this Indian, was man darf sich einmal gedenken, Farvos tut das, ist nicht gern, bitte, jem. Ubeproti is, das meint man, this is what it says it is, was man darf daven jeden Tag, davon mag viel sit im Latere. We're not learning Chassidus and learning Nigle and davening, we're not doing anybody a favor. We're doing ourselves the biggest favor. As Ayidot Akvias and Chassidus, nothing to do. The Rebbe told the Chemer Gerari that he has to have Akvias and Chassidus, not what he's learning with the book. That's learning the Pisalein. Learning the Bachrim, the whole time you're thinking, the Bachrim. That's vergessen wegen dem, du liegen Chassidus. You have to remember the emes. You got to be mekusha to your market. Du darfst ein Arabi dikirit. Du darfst wissen, als du darfst haben, emes in Yerushalayim. You got 3 games, then a bocher in yeshiva, then a bocher. I heard this from my uncle Efreim Pikarsky. He told me that he has an uncle, his name was Alexander Binun, not a name in the Rebbe's Igris. He's a Yid in Eretz Yisrael. He ran a basic same in Ranana. And then the Rebbe schlepped him around. He became the Mefakeach and the Reshet. He worked with the Reshet in Eretz Yisrael. He was a shtikul mechanech, a gehesna mechanech. So he was Behemes Atomim in Ruslan. And then he became a shtikul Zionist. He went to Eretz Yisrael, became a shtikul Zionist. He wrote letters back to Chaverim, let's build the land. He's from a Zionist, from a Zionist. Then when the Rebbe became the Rebbe was Mekarazim, the Rebbe brought him back. Authentic Lubavitch Judaism. So Balkapon, he became a Chassid, and he had a long beard. He had his Chaverim with him. The Mendel Futterfast, these were his friends from Yeshiva, from Neville, from Ezra. But Efreim says, he remembers the Farbrengen, that in the middle of the Farbrengen, the Rebbe called out, the Rebbe says, he came for Tishrei. He says, Rebbe Alexander Binun, vergesst wegen deines Moise, die Statement. How did he himself to have this Farbrengen? Is this by Rebbe? Let's hop a talk. I need he's saying the basic saying that he left them, he felt guilty. And Rebbe said to him, vergesst wegen deines basic saying, whatever they said to him. Den Mann sich mit du bist Atom mit Techet Mim. Das ist der Rebbe told. Den Mann sich mit du bist Atom mit Techet Mim. So Efreim says that he walked him home after the Farbrengen and he couldn't get back to himself. The Rebbe gerät mit mir and mit the Farbrengen. He couldn't get back to himself. I say, my Bobby told me once that she was in Yechidus and she asked a brother for my brother a light up in heart. He says, who's your brother? Alexander. Alexander Binun is deiner Bruder, der Rebbe. Alexander Binun is deiner Bruder. What was Alexander? I'm a mechanic. Das ist the ganze Gdula. The Rebbe knows the letters, the Rebbe encourages him. Alexander. Anyways, Hoiker, we have a schus. Mir, because we're mechanchim, and the younger generation, the Maisa, is looking to us for their chinuch. And you're doing the first thing that the parents today rely on the cheder. It's a problem. But the linya. So the Maisa, we're the ones that have to give the kids Yiddishkeit. We're their tate mame, we're their zeder bobets, all coming from the Malamed today. It doesn't feel very geschmack. What happened today? It's convenient. Ich hätte nicht genau, was du sagst, weil ich habe nicht gesagt, guten Kopf, aber das reden mit der Borde, you gotta speak to the board of the mechanchen. Ich bin nicht mechanchen, I can't help you, I feel terrible. Ich höre du sagst, do me a favor, Avram, you gonna help me? Du nimmst du runter. Thanks, all right, he's gonna help you, this young man there, right there, the tall guy, he's gonna help you. Alcohol point. Geen wegen collisions, aber één Sache weiß ich. If we're going to be durchgenommen mit jedes Shomai, mit Simcha Shomitz, Poshit, jeden in der Nacht, we're going to take a Bichel Chassidus, make a Chavrus mit a zweiten Malami, make a Chabura tachas Chabura. A Chabura tachas Chabura. Da Farbrengen, weißt doch, a Buttel in Kopf, aber sich a durchreden. That's what said this was his name, Jener Kahn von Zogen. A Buttel in Kopf, aber da sich a durchreden. Chabura tachas Chabura, Malem Chassidus zusammen. Lebt, nehmt ihm zusammen, Meimer, lebt. Lebt am Meimer, bei Nacht. Rabbi Avram, you have to arrange these kind of parties, you know what I'm saying? We don't need the Chinese. We need Good Meimer, maybe a Magid Shir, setzt sich auf wegen Molen Chassidus, Geschmack. Später geht man nach Heim, man kann auch viel upload in Krishna Shalom Mitte. I'll tell you how to do standing in one place and without working around the dining room table, you know what I'm saying? Preparing a joke for tomorrow morning. Yeah, pause it, stand in one place, that's Siddur, und Agartu, und sagt doch Krishna Shalom Mitte, mit Anemes. The Rebbe told Reb Nissen that he has to think about his Talmidim before Krishna Shalom Mitte. It's kind of special for Reb Nissen. I think we can think about ourselves with Krishna Shalom Mitte. Don't worry about it. We think enough about our Talmidim all day. It's time to forget about them. When it comes to Krishna Shalom Mitte, man darf trachten, Porsche, was tut sich mit meiner eigenen jüdischen Meinung? Was tut sich mit meiner Kaddish Hatzchum Mutterloh? Ich lebe mit dem Emes. I'm the source for these guys. They're all going to get their Emes from me. Their whole Eibush there depends on me. What's with my cash with the Eibush? What's going on with me? Ich live in potato chips, barbecue potato chips. I mean, of course, I bought it for the kids. The kids are so viele Chavris, so canam ilo nafshe. Kimat anoch negemot. Kimat. A bissel dat nusach, a bissel anders. So chas v'sholem, I'm talking to myself, ich sag, this is for all of our benefit. For our benefit. You're going to see, I mean, we're going to see. It took us all. I mean, when we do that, a day that we atog, a Shabbos doch a ganze Tag Shabbos. A Shabbos was mir and I'm Maimer, später Farbrengen, a Geschmack Kiddish, muss auch einmal viel Lechaim. Die wir sagen, älter von 40, und da sagen Lechaim, man hat dann ein Shabbos. Trinkt man macht Kiddish, a Branchen, Farbrengen. Live with them. Was nicht? Hab da rein. What are you waiting for? Hab da rein. The Rebbe gives a heter after 40. Hab da rein. Take it, take it home, this heter. Take it away. Hab da rein. Jeden Shabbos, jeden zweiten Shabbos. Mach Kiddish, Farbrengen, Lev. Später macht einmal eine Malke. Später ist der Herr in des Schuss, wo du hast. Jetzt kann ich sagen, einmal Lamed, weil der Ebisch ist Kinderlach. So you have these kids coming in the room, instead of looking at them, it's like you have some buffering. I know Yeshiva. You look at them, oh, here comes this Ritzech, I can't wait to look at it. Like, look at him and says, Alichtik in the Shoma. This is the challenge. Baruch Hashem, this is my challenge in life. I have this Talmud. Baruch Hashem, right? And you have that attitude, this kid's going to remember the rest of his life. Ich rede schon wegen den Kindern. Ich will nicht reden wegen den Kindern. Ich rede wegen sich. Forget about the kids. Red wegen uns. Wir dürfen sein chassidische Melam. Chassidische, what do you say, Melam? Chassidische Chanfen. Chassidische Jiden. Chassidische Jid. Der Rebbe spoke nicht zu Chinuch, ja? Nicht zu Chinuch. Es Chinuch Atzme, Chinuch Zulose. In Kolowar, there were two teams. Chinuch Atzme, Chinuch Zulose. It wasn't stand. Chinuch, nor v'chai zayin yen. It doesn't work. Nor v'chai zayin yen is garnished. I'm going to come, I'm going to tell them what to do. Ich bin allein. Wie kämen man von einer Zweiten? Eat nicely, what eat nicely? Du weißt, du allein nach hast du geschleppt Doubles, ganz von den Kindern. The first, who gets first when you serve the house? Well, since the month I paid for the food, you give me first. He wants first. Father of the house, that's right, es wie ein Mensch. Give everyone has what to eat. Yeah, the mama has to be mechabit, you get first. Fine. Okay, good, you got your COVID. Now make sure the kids are eating. You go, erst auf dein kleiner Porch. Bist noch hungrig? Ess die Scherein, wir kennen das nicht. Aber, Stammer, ist gelegt. Anyways, Apoponim, der Rebbe Monk, Chinuch Atzmei. Chinuch Atzmei ist Punkt, sehr wichtig, wie Chinuch Zulos. We're going to have Chinuch Atzmei, Chalem, and Chinuch goes your whole life. Chanech lo nar al pidarke, gam ki yask yosem mimenu. The Rebbe explains in the Akdome, you keep 7 people tzadi v'kom. Jeden 7 Jahr, I'm getting weiter und weiter. It doesn't end. Noch end the Chinuch Atzmei. Wie Ayida ben Shmeinin, it doesn't end the Chinuch Atzmei. It doesn't mechaner sein. Weil the Nefesh HaBahamis, is noch jung und wild. Has a kind. He doesn't lose his status. The meist issue the masmid. He was very sick. And he was in a house from some almona or something. Alter almona. And he was staying there. So the Chassidim were looking for him, they needed him. And he wasn't feeling well, he was very sick. And he was on the porch. They couldn't find him, they found him on the porch. Locked the door from the outside, and he was on the porch. They had, what's going on with you? Want to get in the house? She said, no, sie Yichud. Yichud, the alte Bobbe, and the door is open to the Rosh Hashanah. Weißt doch, alle Hepteden. She says, no, das ist jetzt heute so Lachte. Ich kann machen von einer Jünger an Alten, von einer Alten an Jünger, von einer Kranke an Gesunde. That's what he said. So, no matter what stage we are in our life, we can only in Heinz. Heinz is Chatches. Huge Shvat aggressive Chatches. Based off, it could be, we can't help it. We can't help it that life does what it does. You get involved, you have children, these years that we're all in now, we're still running after, we run. The whole days it's special a marathon. In the morning, getting your kids to cheder, getting into the bus, and davening shachris with a minion, and then teaching, and then coming home. Life is busy. It's a heck. So you don't have the mufas on nefesh, takalenim, as das is davening. So it could be a timeline from 10, 15, 20 years go by, you have to, zwischen 20 Jahren, so habe ich gedammt, ein bisschen Barich ist. Starke Damen mit einem. 20 years went by. Ich habe mich gelernt, an meiner Arbeit in den Absch. Not even my fault. I was busy making a deal with I was busy. Aber can't get too busy then to do making a deal with is part of it is ich bin echt a Tacht. Ich darf machen a deal with Barich right here. That it doesn't no other way. Our shlichus is to be achsidish. That's our shlichus. Really, that's our shlichus. And we should take this, the kuda, and we should share it with the kids. Kids on zen. The kids get more just from who we are, from the aroma. From the aroma, they get more than from the actual teaching. And yet the Rebbe is also chatrachten and remind himself of his teachers that he had growing up. You'll see. Some of them, they might have taught very good, the Chumash and the Rashi, and the Rabbi Makban and the homework, and the me, Omar Lami, those drove me crazy. Me, Omar Lami, forget it. I failed every one of those. Me. So why didn't my teacher, Lamosh, see, I'm not doing good, so change the curriculum. Anyway, I left him, Alam in Tufshin and Gimel and Ocean Parkway, you know what I'm saying? Right. But anyways, the Ricket is, I was happy I survived the day without getting a smack here, a smack there, Baruch Hashem. I'm still here today. No, I have all my limbs, Baruch Hashem. But the Ricket is that, think back, you'll see. I think so. A Malamed that was, Hoshet, a Freile Cherid. Staka Lebede Cherid. I think back, some of my Malamedim, I'll speak about those who passed away, so I shouldn't has hurt anyone's, I mean to sagen, in Ruchniges, I feel. It shouldn't be a hepech, a coffee tape. They're all very nice Malamedim. Those who passed away already, who were even like Rabbi Katzen. I'm telling you, Rabbi Katzen Poshet gave us Yiddish Shemayim Simcha Shlemitz. Rabbi Katzen, unbelievable. He would teach us Komus Aleph. Oh, they should think in Yiddish Shemayim. He taught us V'ahavta L'reacha K'meicha. Unbelievable. What was he teaching us? He was teaching in 3-1A. He wasn't teaching us good. But he mamish that till today I feel Rabbi Katzen's chinuch. There's a malam Rabbi Wasman of Hashem. It's about two nights passed away. Option and hay or something. And you think Rabbi Wasman? Ayoko should be going about Shuvah. It was such a good malam. What did he teach us? Mitzvah gidei lolis besimcha. And it glept him. And it gave him almo freda. And b'shas we would go to the recess. He said, "Gishtar mit that tilim." You saw it get left in there. That's how it is. Unbelievable. He had such a hashpah on us. Now, there was a fight going on in the class. He was so good about coming and ungewarnt to bring us. We obviously throw between us. How did he do it? He did it with his dogma. With his dogma. Daven. He used to daven with us with such a face and simple. He created songs. Is that what he still do it? I don't know. That was his nickname. He was mechaber that name. So the schmack the daven. He gave us like a schmack and davening. Anyways, they loved you. You saw, you felt. They positively loved you. The guy that you positively felt that they're avid to you. So how much did we learn about Garfinkel? Cannot garnished. I mean, the guy was already, he was already over the hill. But Anyways, Avad, we gotta go to, we gotta, everyone, we have to hold it. We have to hold it on our shiurim, prepare a good shiur, v'chulu. Good. That's chinuch zulose. Chinuch atzmei. Allein sein avarne freiliche chsinshit. And then you're going to see simcha in your aveda, not tzloch in your aveda. Basically, that's our iskashus to the Rebbe. Anyways, with Shvat, the Reish Hashanah iskashus. Today, Shvat, have sie gedenken, wir haben a Rebbe. Und der Rebbe hat lieb Jiden. Und der Rebbe hat uns lieb. Und der Rebbe hat uns aufgegeben, als wir sollen kennen, haben nach Heilig in sein Herz. Wir können hoden der Rebbe's Kinder. The Rebbe's Kinder. Not a joke, not a nice slogan. It's supposed true. These kids that we have is mamish the Rebbe's Kinder. And the more nebachtik it's the kid, the more the parents are out to lunch, smoking pot, or whatever they're doing, that the more this kid is that mamish the Rebbe's kid. Mamish. This is the Rebbe's kid. And unsere Achreis, unsere Schus, helfen dem Kind. Chaim Lebrach. My brother is in France. So he goes on he's a street shliach. The busiest Platz. He's a shliach in the Platz. Plus every day he does mitzvah tefillin in the Platz. That's the shliach. He meets Yidden. The people come, tourists from all over the world, meeting in. Yeah, unbelievable stories. One guy met him, and he told him, "You gotta hear this. The guy is not so frum, but he wanted to put on film, and he said, I learned in Bedford indeed. I learned better than and he left at a very young age. He left already. He said, I had a Rabbi Peretech. He started off being a Malamed. He said, he was such a nice guy. He said, all the other kids came, they had a nickel to buy in the machine, a snack, a peanut chew or something. For a nickel, you got a peanut chew and something else, 2 fingers. And he said that he didn't have. So my Zaidi would buy and give him and sit with him and eat with him. And that's what he remembers Yiddishkeit till today. And he meets Hillel, the Enikel. He didn't believe it was like such a protest. He meets his own Enikel. Couldn't believe it. I might show you. Anyway. Shoyin l'chaim levroche. Mit darf sich ba'leben. We're lucky, kipshut imamish. Schus. Poshit, we have a gewaltige schus. A meidendike shlichim. Seine Schluchim, dem Rebbe Schluchim. So hodem in dem Rebbe's Kinder. Und bemele, ach, das ist der richtig. Wir sich aufheben, sein Freilach. Und während Poshit, kipshut, ev di Hashem, besimcho, betuk livob. L'chaim levroche. Ja, mama, ja, mama, ja, ja, mama, Mention, I see here Rabbi Reitzes. He had in Ocean Park all the years. Rabbi Reitzes all of us. Rabbi Reitzes, you should know. He was a Chassid. I'm waiting the Chassid. He also writes, Heshke de Braski, has he gehalten von him? Heshke de Braski, gehalten. Writes, der Remes Chassid Tom. In Rusland. He also writes. So he also writes this. He would tell us stories in Yiddish. We didn't really speak such a good Yiddish. A little bit we knew Yiddish because when our fathers were angry at us, he screamed at us in Yiddish. A little Yiddish we knew it. But not much. But there Yossi, my Zaidi. Oh, your Zaidi, yeah, dein Zaidi, right? But he should know. In my head, portion in my ears ring that out there Rebbe, he gave us these seeds. The Rabbi, out there the Rebbe Rasha, the Rebbe soll gesund sein. Just right. He lived in these stories. He left in them. Das ist sein Leben, machsidische Meise. Unbelievable. And he had a schus. So in the afternoon, one time, Punkti was our substitute, Baruch Hashem. I was a sickle troublemaker, I never got on the honor or anything like that. It bothered me a little bit, Sometimes I was actually trying to be a good kid. So they didn't notice me. I don't know why. I'm under the trauma, you see. But anyways, he also writes this with Armalamed one day, and Punkt, there was a big rally that day in the Ocean Park, the assembly. And Shas the Gvir came, the Gvir Justin Weinberg had a big Gvir somewhere. And every time he came to visit the yeshiva, they made a big yeshiva for him. And they gave out prizes that day. So the guy came in, just write this, asked him, who's a good kid in class? Efreim, Zagute Yingele. Put me down. And for the first and only time in my life, I was called up to the podium and I got a prize. Walkie-talkies or something. See you then. Here's that word. My brother Hanoi was a tzaddik. You think, it's not tzaddik. David loves the tzaddik. But anyways, I want to talk about, since we speak about the collision, as we jetzt Masuk, it was gemeint zu sagen. Yeah, I got it. I understand. Wow. So, Stam, ein Wort wegen dem. It's a big, it's a major nisoy. We have part of being a malam, it's part of being a chinuch. By the way, in the Zal's is over myself. You have a kid that comes over to you with a straight face, and you know, I really don't like your shit. You're sitting there, your blood's draining from your face. Like, you're working, your whole thing is your shit. The meeste sagst das shit, du horbst, du hältst jenen shit, du schreibst, du sagst, you prepare it. So it doesn't end the preparation. You keep on preparing. I hate that. I've helped me learn the gotta learn. Bacher says, yeah, you're mishalom that episode. I'm thinking maybe I should change shit or something. The Bacher, is like shechts you like schite, glatt. It's like a good knife. Alter Rebbe's knife. It's very sharp. Some beide Seiten. It's like, you finished, you're schwitzing, like, your mom is in need. You need help. So the way you have, what's the eighth? The eighth is, it's on his son, like every on his son, right? And you think the guy that's working in BNH doesn't have Nisyanis? And the guy, this is part of Elam Hazeh. In Elam Hazeh, there's no easy ride in Elam Hazeh. You think, what's means if you're living in Elam Hazeh, there's going to be challenges. So you got to really not get stuck. You have to stay in Hecher. And the more we're going to be chassidim, the more it's like, you have to look at the bocher, the kid is talking to you, and you have to say, Eberste, you're great, thank you so much. This is, what should I tell you, man, you're doing good, keep it coming, great. So that's all right. And then think yourself, Baruch Hashem, I have another 15 bochrim in the shit. Do listen to this shit. Okay, good. Don't worry, you'll be okay. It's not the first time. Every year you have one of these guys, another chacham, to come over to you. Fine, get over it. It's life, it's part of life. Let's not say, he's mamash a lacht. Oh, it's a mechanech. Verkackte Arbeit. What do I need this for? One 10-year-old that came, you're going to let him ruin your day? It's like the guy, you have a good life, and then you get a ticket, a speeding ticket. Ashet loses his whole life. You got a speeding ticket. His whole life's worthless, stinking speeding ticket. What got a speeding ticket? God's sake, who cares? You have kids, you have a life, you're healthy. You got a speeding ticket. It's supposed to be Garnish Gishen, you had a hard day today. It should be a kapore, and it's for sure a kapore. What is the lotion? Opkommen mit them, right? That's what they say in the Bobbis used to say that. Opkommen mit them. It says in the Bossi Lagani this year, der Ewigste gefindt sich mato adin tach. The Rebbe goes to the whole Seder. Then the Rebbe explains, Mishael Shivaiti, that even in the She'el, right? Even in the She'el, der Ewigste gefindt sich dorten mato adin tach. I saw a nice story that each of their masmid was once Farbrengen. It's written up, and this guy says he heard this from Lendovat. Lendovat was once Farbrengen, and he wrote up out of Shima from Lendovat is Farbrengen. Lendovat was saying over Farbrengen, each of their masmid Farbrach. So each said like this. He said that a pasuk steht in the pasuk by Yene. By Eliyahu Barakanu says, Aneni Hashem Aneni. So somewhere it says in Chazal, Aneni, the rest Aneni, the Sheteri Deish Ben Hashemayim. If the Eish should come to the Hashemayim. Aneni Hashem Aneni. The Yidden shouldn't say that it was a Meise from Kishuf. Doesn't understand what's going on here. This was like a whole situation. The whole thing here was to clarify Im Lashem, Im Laba. And the Baal was standing there, they were standing there till Chasei Sayem, and they were dancing and banging, whatever they're doing over there. And so Gonish go. And he poured water over the whole place over there. And then he started to scream to Hashem and started up, fire from the Himmel. That fire was all the mind. It was pretty obvious. You shouldn't say it's a mice in the chashvo. So each of the masmir, it's a horror. Is that kefer beiker that even when things are so close out from the neighbors, he manages to come to no stam a natural coincidence. Punklies Jamsen, die kommen die Winden, die kommen von da nicht. Gerade der Rebbe says, that's shit from the Rebbe. He says, he doesn't understand. How could they say, Yud Beis Gzorim? If it was the winds, how did that work with Yud Beis Gzorim? Anyways, the kids said, so Itche says, the Yetzer Hara in every situation will come and will bring out as a nidder Eibishter. So Eibishter mamish king. He doesn't have to say it 100, he has to say only 10%. It's for that chance, takes off the whole Islam. See this is steht nur mit der Wort bei Vorich, David es Hashem, steht auf Tevis Vadai. Steht noch das ist da mit Sapelos Wort. Das na mein look mit der Teira steht bei Vorich, David es Hashem, Tevis Vadai. Die Kurs ist Vadai, sei so betzen. So emes amuchlo. The Yitzhar is im stam over efshir. Forget it. You lost it. You lost the whole nikul. So each of the masters like this. It says like this. He says, noch 120 Jahre, he's going to go to heaven. And versteht sich mit mir legen. He says, he didn't go to Gehenna. Mit dem schmeißen. He says like this. Aneini Hashem aneini. Als mich schmeißt mir. You should be emes by mir abgelegt mit Avador, at der Emes to schmeißt. You can't say, no, punkt, I came to the wrong place. The wrong guy got a hold of me, beating the heck out of me. But it's also all playing the verse right, der Emes to schmeißt. Der Emes to schmeißt. Ganz gut. Ein Seifel Mata, ist der Emes to, not that bad. Ein Seifel Mata, den Tag. You know, Mendel Marozov's Meister. He says he gets a phone call. Mendel gets a phone call one day. So Mendel, he passed away. Mendel, Mizuchta Mashpia. Oh, this is a bad sign. Right? They're calling him from heaven already. He's bad. Mendel, he wants to live. He's a young man. He's like 95. He wants to live forever. And Mendel starts saying, no, geht zu, nach dem Shapiras, von einem anderen Mashpia. Was willst du von mir? Nee, Mendel, man darf dir auf. Du bist ein guter Mashpia. Nein. Efreim Sohn Schmerl, ist ein feiner Mann. Das mir nicht haben. Mendel, was meinst du? Wir reden dir von Ganeden. Koponi, das ist nicht gut. Aneini, Hashem, Aneini. If this, you go through a hard day, as it's obgulate, it's not the shlichus that's hard. The name is the world. Und der Rebbe ist der Tank, if you were working in B&H, what kind of tzoros you would have? Hey, some who knows what could have? Some guy would have came to you in the car with a knife. Baruch Hashem, find a Yiddish Yingele, come over to you. He's a hakel, making you a little joke at it. Make garnish geshem. It's a garnish, taki garnish geshem. If you have the higher perspective, but you have to krich an the higher perspective. You get nitfas, you get all verleden. It doesn't have to give us illegani. That don't get nitfas in the schmutz. Nicht stehen hech. We have to be. Ein Achosid can arbeiten auf dem, hören auf dem. Tag ist sich ablegen, dem Emes, la Mitte von der Likus. Und sich ablegen, he's here to do a Shlichis. Wird nicht so bad. Wird nicht so bad. Good, it's a Aveda Gedela. It's not so simple. It's not so simple. The fact that you have to face the kid for how many weeks? You can't wait. I mean, the whole Tovshin paid out. It's an Ibiyar this year. That kid and his mother, forget about her. She says, "Has a problem." But this echt from the waves. And you know, if you have the attitude, if you have the right attitude, and you show, if you talk, you're connected to the Rebbe, you're not sekratz. to follow up along the stadium. They lose the geschmack to bother you. They see they're not getting to you. They're not pushing. Start. Stay. Hezekiah, listen to me. Your kid will not be able to do that in my classroom. Also, finished. On Rachmanis, on verantworten sich. Ich hab nur eine Ding. Schön. L'chaim, l'brochi. Also, aber sag l'chaim. Der Avram, du, who's in charge of everyone saying l'chaim? No, nicht du. You do the food. Let someone else do the drinks. Can't do everything, Avram. Hey, la da da, ya, Ja, Mama. Chaim, Chaim. Sag L'chaim, jeden sag L'chaim. Susman, sagst du L'chaim. Ich denke, Rabbi Bucket Schul, waren mit Kiddisch dort. Ah, ist das eh? Bucket Schul, he's a good guy, Bucket. He said about L'chaim, Bucket. Chaim, L'chaim. Der Elam sagt, ich kenne L'chaim. Abram, you, yeah, sag L'chaim. The Beiderov, you know, Mendel Fuss speaks about the Beiderov. You know about him? You help me name drinken. You heard from the Beiderov. Help me name drinken. Wie viel hat getrunken, hat gesagt, besser die Gemorre. Er kennt lernen. Wie viel hat getrunken, er hat Geschmack. The Beiderov. He was there, everyone, they all come from him. All the Yeshaya Zusias, they're all from him. His name is Yeshaya Zusia. Wilhelm, Yeshaya Feldman, all these guys, they're all from him. He was I can't have Welt lernen. He was a Chassidish Rid. Anyways, schön. L'chaim wieder. L'chaim. Warum sagt L'chaim? Hallo. Dabei hört, sagt L'chaim. The Maimer, Bossi Lagani Yudalov, the Rebbe says like this. The Rebbe says, as even though we ask ourselves, me ani umon. The Rebbe says like this. The Rebbe says, in Tovshin Yud Aleph, in Bossi Lagani, the Rebbe says, da wissen sein, as wir sein in the Shvi, da Vede von der Shvi, is our Farbrengen, and we can schine lomat. We mele, das liegt achgeet auf jeder eine von uns, wir wissen, wohin der Deir Ashvi, and our Avede is our Farbrengen, and we can schine lomat. Text Chashayel, the Rebbe says, in mine, says the Rebbe, I trust to mi ani umoan. Mi ani umoan. Look at that. Bisrael gesagt, was ist das? Mi ani umoan. Was kein gut hacken China die ganze Nacht. Aber wir wollen mi ani umoan. Was ist mi ani umoan? Mi ani umoan, ich mein, ich weiß, was tut sich mit mir Tage. Mein ganzen Mehus ist, was ich bin von der Ashvi. Der Rebbe ist whole Mehus ist, der ist der Nossi Ashvi. Und das ist der Rebbe. Aber uns, wenn Shabam ist, nicht so Horror, unsere Probleme, das heißt, Luchin, nothing to do with der Ashvi. Sagt uns der Rebbe, nein, das Wissen sein, du, das bist, wer bist du? You're making a big mistake, habe der Rebbe gesagt. Du tragst mi ani und mo ani, wer bin ich? Ich bin mein Grobkeit. Ich bin meine Probleme. Sagt der Rebbe nein, sagt. Das ist Achiddisch von Rebbe. Und das ist Achiddisch von der Ashvi. Nein. Du bist dein Tafkid. Und das ist, was du bist. Dein Ämste Mehus ist dein Tafkid. Darauf bringt der Schchine Lamat. In Meile, es geht uns nicht an, mi an Yuman. Der Rebbe sagt nicht, du bist nicht gerecht. Du bist taki gerecht, mi an Yuman. Aber es hat uns nicht an, du bist in der Ashvi. Der Ashishi, ich habe ein Problem. If me and Yuman is doing good, you take it. You didn't fit the bar. Take it. You can't just run into it. It wasn't so simple. Take it. Das ist Scheiches, die in Jan. Ewe, da Masko. Mit was kommst du, mit was? Bist du das nervisch? Hast gar nicht, da haben wir bald Teile. Aber in der Ashvi, so hat es doch mit dir. Dein Chavivus hat gar nichts zu tun mit deiner Avede. So hat zu tun mit dem, was mir Milo ist gestellt geworden, du bist da in dem Day. Der Eibestir hat uns weggestellt da. Und like the Rebbe said in the Maimer, the Rebbe said the atheist, that it's naturally kefir say nenu, because Ki'ilu, the past is, it was geschmacker to be more in the earlier days. Und jetzt versteht man, als geringer wird der Rebbe gemeint. Der Rebbe gemeint zu uns, ich meine, it's not kefir say nenu, we didn't sign up for this after giving Thomas. Aber es ist der Ashri. That's it. It would have been much better off if we were born Tafrish Bay, and we would have been already kicking the bucket, that nice life here, you know. Fine, we left dollar Rebbe's, you know. It's like my grandfather was not passing away, he's screaming, Rebbe, all day, Rebbe. He's in the bathroom, Rebbe, he's screaming, Rebbe. He's like, I need the Rebbe. He's screaming, I need the Rebbe. I'm thinking, I was like, boy, this guy to die, you need a Rebbe. To live, boy, do you need a Rebbe? You know, those days. He used to say, how do you guys do it? How do you live without a Rebbe? How do you do it? Rebbe, how do you do it? Like, I couldn't do it. How do you guys do it? He says, what's been gehalten all year? Sitting on the shop, working. Tonight's going to be a Farbrengen. We're going to sit with the Rebbe the whole night. I'm the guy. So the guy geschmack there, he's getting the heck out of the shop in Manhattan. He's going to the Rebbe. So how do you guys do it? Aber das ist Schatten im Heime. Es ist nicht gefühlt zu nehmen. Nobody asked us. Aber the Tafkid, that's our home house. Oh, das bist du. Das bist du. Wer bist du? Even a Chelik von der Rebbe's Tafkid, darf da a Farbrengen, Ike Schchila Mate Betachten. Das darf man reinnehmen in den Kopf. The Rebbe is telling us this is the emes. Now, we shouldn't be lazy about this. And yeah, the Mele came and essen pizza and having a good talk. We're going to do the Tafkid. Yeah, well, du tust nicht die Tafkid. Du bist da made in dein Tafkid. Die Tafkid ist Tage, sich übergeben, herabbringen, Schchine betachtene. Und was meint aus Mechanchim? Bringen Schchine betachtene means unsere Tachtene mit den Talmidim. That's the Tachtene. Talmidim are Tachtene. But who says this? The Rebbe in the Sicha. Topshin, the Sicha is printed this weekend. They gave out the Likud in 770. They gave out that Sicha in Chil Tazayin. That the Rebbe said, the Rebbe is Medayik, Dira Loi Betachtenim, and Betachtenim, that the Friedrich Rebbe was involved with Chinuch from Tashbar. That was his main thing. Tashbar, that was the main thing. That's Tachtenim in Klal Yisrael. Shein von Seichu, in von Shleimus. Stell jen, Tachtenim. Hoshit, geben sie der Etzem, unsere Job ist, a Kind soll der Herrn, ich bin Aid. Ich belong zu Klal Yisrael. Ich bin Achosid. Ich stehe her von der ganzen Stinkerei von Ilmaz. Ich stehe her von der ganzen. Das darf mir geben, die Kinder. Aber darf einpflanzen bei den Kindern, die Kinder sollen der Herren, jeder eine auf Ida Gosse, in Pre-1A, straight through bis Medisch. The Iker, unsere Job, and that's the job not just from the Mashpim, it's not from the Rosh Yeshiva today. That's the job. I'm all given Rosh Yeshiva, Mashpim, they were also parents at home. Today, today the kids comes, we gotta give it to them. The Rosh Yeshiva's job today is the Kinder on their Herren from them taste this. As ich doch in Welt. Es war ein Norolikus. Durch die Kasche und Teretz von Taste. Also sie weisen der Ein so, wie steht in der Blatt gemorren. Whatever that means. It means something. I heard a good story. In Vince, they came to the Rogatchover. There was a university. So the students, the Jewish students, used to come to the Rogatchover and ask him the question that their professors couldn't answer. So, and the Rogatchover, the Rebbe member had the answer to all their problems. The Cheshbonis, mathematics, and the Rogatchover, they right away told him that. So one time, one of them says to the Rogatchover, Rebbe, why are you sitting here in this chatke? When you come to the seminary there, the very called your professor, the university, they're going to give you COVID blocking. It was 11 the mensch. It was open COVID. So he looks, he laughs. He had a gemara in front of him. He says, in ein svore von Ribal Atesvis, the mer Seichel von ein ganze Kloisterberg. In one Terz, ein Ribal Atesvis. Doch darf mir geben die Talmidim, sollen das der Herren. Okay, good, whatever that's supposed to mean. Akolpon. Aber yes, everyone knows. Aber das ist doch der Emes. Das ist unser Tafel. Mi ani umani. I weiß, benafshi pnima, I know, bems buchal.
That's right.
No. Anyone have a good place to
She's
like anyone have a good place to fight?
It's a good, we got to change the lesson already. I got this zikunim, you know. Like, because we stay in light till like 85 these days. You know? We got phones, we got this, we got sirens, we have a good life. Who's getting old? Right? Anyways. Aber, wie an human. If we mean with an MS, came in the hands. Just tonight, I was in 770. They had this hour there. They played this work in the Vine. It hit me like it hit me. I did ever say these words, just these words. How many times we learned the Vine? It never hit me like this. Tonight. Maybe because staying not with me and your money, Bahamas. It was their head. What's that Tafki? Gib sich hier zum Tafki. Gib sich hier Tage. Good. Einige Name, me and your money. Well, one day he'll come to a husband about that also. Aber es ist bottled mit Fiesel Gabi dem Hemmet. Was hat es zu tun mit deinem Tafki? Du darfst aufstehen dein Tafki. Wir sollen sein, als wie so verkocht, so durchgenommen, like Geschmack in unserer Welt. But we are the Rebbe's Armee, the Rebbe's hate Arbeit. I remember it was what I might show you. L'chaim, it's a good story. L'chaim. It was Purim, Shechol Yiyes, Bayem HaShishi. It was a Friday Purim. Melech Tzvi Lamarstown, amongst the many good things he did, he was also the Purim Rav. He says he lives down this big steep hill. There's a well in front of his house that used to even work. He has a little fatkele there. And er sitzt und lernt dort in Tag und Nacht, Zeret Melech. So, Purim, the whole stott comes to give him Shalachmanis, and you sit down by him. And the whole day, these people come in and out. Always a minion sitting around. Hey, Farbrengen. If you're the first one to come in, so he's sitting and learning the Alter Rebbe Shchonorach. Hebt dan schon noch Pesach. Und mit jeder eine trinkt schluckt, kennt ihn a bottle Maschke no problem. Tells me Maschke got tired of the other tires. Anyways, so the record is Fridays. I was still running into New York those days, you know. I was a few little kids. So you run to New York. So I got in the car, 11 o'clock in the afternoon, 11:30 in the afternoon. We're going to have the Suda in New York. I came to Melech. I think what's going to be going on at 11:30 in the morning. You know? He's sitting stoned by the kitchen table, usually by the dining room table. For breakfast, he had a bottle of mash. That was you remember Efreim used to get drunk every Purim? Most people didn't drink Purim. Farbrengen. The Efreim, they come shikah, they used to fall asleep. Farbrengen, he was shikah. Melech was sitting there 11:30, drunk. He tells me, he says, there's the whole story, the famous story that who it was, the Tsar, someone was running away from an enemy. They came to a bridge. They came to a teichel. They had to cross the teichel. So there was no bridge. So the soldiers made a human bridge. How did they make the human bridge? One layer went down and died. Another layer went down. They went down with Seichel. Went down, organized. They did, yeah. Still, the Melech was able to walk over and get saved. So the Melech said like this. Ben Shashem sagen that the top guys that the Melech tret auf sie, guy, when they're dying, the Melech get tret now. The guys on the bottom, garnished. Nobody knows about them. The Melech tret nicht auf sie. Those are uns, Melech says. Those are in the Rambam. The Shluchim, no, the Rebbe tret auf sie. Tag is geben weg dem Leben. Der weiß von uns wirklich. Was holen wir? Wir warten, dass wir stehen wegmachen. Aber, he says, Armi Admura, he started singing Armi Admura, gegangen nach Tänzeln, Armi Admura. Das sind der Rebbe Soldat. Das ist unser Tag. So, now I'm freilich mit dem, das ist unsere Taft. Chaim Levrach. Ishka Dabrowski said, and he learned by the Billy Chaim in Samarkand, maybe even somewhere, I think Samarkand. And he said it was in the years of the war, but Pashat Gehunger. Pashat nothing to eat. And Eliachai, the kids came to Cheder, everyone was hungry. Eliachai had echt gehungert. Alle haben gehungert. But the kids came to learn. How many kids there were? I don't know. They came. He says that Eliachai used to daven shachris. He was mesaded them to learn what they should learn. He would daven. Daven Yishmak lying. And he would make sure that they were learning. Middle of davening, take a little break. Make sure. Then he would go back to the davening. Came to Shemina Esrei. They noticed Chaim Fatasach Vena davening. I gotta remember once Chaim davening. I said this in Tshuva 770. He davened very nicely. So daven as a. So I was watching him. So Meir Anis, so Hashem to me, he says, "You do the meis dosel Chaim. You should have seen him here 30 years ago." I said this in Tshuva. He was. So again, was then. Anyways, so he says, "Oh, Chaim." But says, "What? When was he crying?" He says, "So the Numen, he was crying by Hashivin Ovin L'Siraseh." He wasn't crying at Feinu, it's a Brochenkeit. Feinu, Deinu von Jenu, Veinu, Borich Aleinu. Hashivin Ovin L'Siraseh. He's a kid, 10, 11. What this took him the rest of his life? I mean, can't vein wegen Hashivin Ovin L'Siraseh. Unglaublich schade, hungerst. He's starving, life is gefährlich. Aber was badet er? Was wegen Hashivin Ovin L'Siraseh? So it's nicht kein Kunst, to act that way. Versteht sich? Better don't act in a holding it. But that wissen, we know, we all know this, with our own children, and with our Talmidim. That what they're the emes being affected by is our emes, unsere emes. Jeder eine mit seinem emes. Once was a interessante Sache. Zalman Gopin ended up in Morristown because there was they make Shabbosim for Polisher. It was next to Morristown. So his sister, Mrs. Schwalter, lives in Morristown. So he came to sleep. The Nazi Shabbos came to Morristown. He was there for one day. He spent with his sister. Then he had to go. The next day, he needed to sleep. Mamish needed to sleep. But Melech, come Farbrengen with the Bochrim. Sitz a bissel mit sich. He made it night coffee on the chuppah. It's going to be till 11 o'clock, just for an hour. He sat down Farbrengen. But for that, everyone's pointing out, as long as it's noch a bissel, fine. Noch a bissel. Then, mit Amol, he reminded us of a story. He said there was a politics in Kfar Chabad. There was a meeting, Sifef, and Zalman Gopin was involved in the Cheder then. There was a politics with the Cheder, all the Cheder in Kfar Chabad. So Zalman Gopin was by the Sifef. I think it was that, or was the Yeshiva politics? What politics? And Zalman was a young man, so he sat on the side. Then Mendel was there, noch andere ältere Jünger Leute. But Zalman Gopin was 35 years old. He opened his mouth and said, he's quiet. But Mendel Futterfass had gehalten von Zalman's code. So he says, in the middle of the Asif, he says, Zalman, wo sagst du? And he says, Zalman, sag dem Emes, wie trachst du? Zalman must have turned white in the face. Mendel Futterfass. Mendel sagt, Zalman, Aschnuck, sagt ihm, sag der Emes, sag der Emes. He's like, sag der Emes. So Mendel says, ich meine nicht dem Emes, ich meine dein Emes. Sag dein Emes. Wie kommt es bei dir, der Tag in den Kopf, du tragst. Jeder eine, man kann nicht noch machen an Emes. Der Emes darf kommen von sich. Right? Emes, jeder eine hat sein Emes. Aber man darf arbeiten an unsere Emes, so ein bisschen sein verbunden mit dem Emes Hawaii. Und this is our job as Mechanchen. Der Rebbe ist uns gegeben den glücklichen Arbeit. Positiv shoot, as wir ein Clay Kadish. Clay Kadish. Wie der Rebbe says in the Sichis, a Sheikhet, a Malamed. What's their tafkid? Is a Sheikhet, is a Malamed. Is a wilde chassidische Ried. Ja, kann sein, Punkt, kann sein, kann sein der Sheikhet. Aber man darf auch mit Clay Kadish, der Rebbe ist nicht Clay Kadish. Der Rebbe ist der Nies, ehrliche Jiden, so man kann schächten, und man kann sich verlassen auf sie, und man kann sein, unsere Kinder, man kann sich verlassen auf sie, schächten die Kinder. Man kann verlassen auf sie. Aber der Ätzen von dem Malamed, was ist der Ätzen von dem Malamed? Das ist sein Abides Hashem. Und das ist Achille von ein Schlichit. Mit dem wird Malamed. Mit dem ist ein chassidische Ried. Ist ein chassidische Ried. Posche. Da so der Mann, ist ein Tom mit den Getwimmen. Ist ein Bocher in Militär. Was der gelebt? Mit was hat gelebt? Gelebt. Er wird nassig, Wort in der Rebbe Farbrengen. Chaser in der Farbrengen. Und dem darf man heim leben. Das ist unsere Leben. Darf leben, Posch mit der Likus. Warten wir gehen Schule. Darf der Herren, dem Emes von Göttlichkeit. Posch mit Kipschütte. Darf Davenen zum Ebersten. Gut, ist Lechaim hat gewähnt, als wen will er sagen. Wir darf nicht weinen. You don't make yourself cry, for sure, right? But like my spirit once said, if you're crying, no, don't worry, you let it go. You don't have to feel embarrassed. Macht sich, weint mit dem Davenen? Nee, what? Forget it, weinen. People don't cry anymore. I go to Levi's these days, people are like, they're chewing gum, basically. He said, no, everyone's out to lunch. Nobody's crying. Someone cries like everything's okay. Well, I mean, it must be really terrible. Was weint er? Well, it's like, well, jeden Tag weinen. Das ist also irgendwie das Rede. Die Hikr ist weinen, nicht weinen. Ich weiß, for some reason, jeden Tag einmal weinen. Doesn't mean that because we don't cry, ist man nicht. Aber der Chagav, I remember a story, I heard this story, Shalom Feldman, as in Kfar Chabad, Shalom Feldman, he's a good guy. So I once was on sitting by Farbrengen by him. And he said, Amaisa, gewaltige Amaisa. He said, he was by the Rebbe from Toshen Yud Gimel to Toshen Chof. That was, mit dem hat gelebt ein ganzes Leben. And his Matzeva, right? He told his kids, they should write and say one thing. Zocha, that he's by the Rebbe, Sheva Shneis Asov, that was his, with them, it doesn't even sein Leben. The rest of his life, he even standard dessert. Sein Leben, them they go. He writes, he had some letters of his that he wrote to his Chavein. He came to Houston, the first ones to come. So he writes letters to his Chavein, label asking, that was still in Eretz Yisrael. He's retired to them at Farbrengen. Then he writes to them, by the Rebbe, by the Farbrengen, and the Rebbe's Farbrengen, he says, ob umgehen zu verstehen, der Riker ist zwischen der Schuhes. Nicht, what the Rebbe sagt, zwischen der Schuhes. He's looking at the Rebbe. The Riker wasn't the point what the Rebbe said. You have to be there. You have to hear the Rebbe and be with the Rebbe and get it. Das sitzt da, Ischeliki. Das ist Matentere. Es ist Kabbalah Satere. Zwischen der Schuhes. Punkt, what the Rebbe gerät, der Verbringen verbringen. Verstehst? Anyway, so Shalom says like this. He says, dein Gott, was ich bin dort gewesen, ich vergessen mein ganzes Leben. He says, the Rebbe started on Maimer, Shabbos Sukkis. Nein, Sukkis, Toshen with Zayin. The Rebbe is verbringen the Sukkah on Yom Tov, second day Yom Tov. The Rebbe said on Maimer, V'tahir, V'beinu, L'obtechu Be'emes. The Rebbe asked Akasha, Chi Shaykh Aveda, Uli Emes. Apes on Emes, ich can Aveda. There's no Emes, and what's the Aveda? Aveda has to be the Emes. What says? V'tahir, V'beinu, L'obtechu Be'emes. He said, it took the Rebbe, he says, a few minutes to say this question. The Rebbe has gewinnt. The Rebbe has gewinnt. He says he won't forget it for the rest of his life. You could see the Rebbe sitting there in the sukkah. And the Rebbe weint und weint, wie Tahir und Beinu, Avduch, Be'emes. It's a Shaykh Zavid on Emes. Im darf haben a Stikele Emes. A Stikele Emes. Darf ein Tag ein bisschen Horror in a Stikele Emes. Learn am Maim, I died the Nafshe. Medaf. I'm not telling you what to do. Chaz v'sholom. I sound like a teacher. Medaf. Chaz v'sholom. Ich lese sich, taka am mamish. Meretz chadur. Chabura tachas chabura. Meretz chadur. How's it going to happen? We got to do our job. Be'emunah. Job be'emunah. We have a meidendik job. We have the best job. Mamish hazeh. The Ben HaMelech. Based of the Ben HaMelech, the Eivishter gave it to us. All these stories. The Melech hired a special Melamed and Benoi. Das ist uns, kommt das heißt. Wir dürfen Tage halten dabei. Wir dürfen zulegen sich ein bisschen lernen, also hereinlegen mehr in our davening, even though there's so much going on today. There's so much going on. Good, so we have to talk, could be, make a birur, what's important and what's not important. That's you say this from time management. You have to decide what's important, what's not important, what's urgent. Someone's giving. I broke my foot by my chasna. So Gershon Schusterman is a ganze denker. Gershon, Gershon, very organized guy. So in the mikveh, Erev Shabbos, whatever it was, I met him the first time after chasna in the mikveh. So I still remember the drosha. He gave me a drosha in the mikveh. So he says, certainly when you broke your foot by your wedding, I'm sure a lot of things changed. A lot of perspectives changed. For example, he says, sure, when you first got married, it must be very important to you, like your place, like furniture, and where you're staying, and a hit in the head. And at that point, when you broke your foot, all was negated. I should just have 2 healthy feet. A lot of things changed. He says, that's a very good lesson for time management. You have, Ken Gershon, he says, you have things, different categories. You have things that are urgent and important, urgent, not important, important, not urgent, and not urgent and not important. But the bottom line is that your health is urgent and important. That's urgent and important. So he says, a time like this that comes is to teach you. You have to learn a lesson from this. Look, what happened as soon as you broke your foot by your wedding? All the other things that fell apart that weren't so important, that's to teach you. Don't invest your life in those kind of things because they're not urgent and not important. So if we go through our phones, it could be we'll have to make a beer chometz of a lot of not urgent, not important things. Ken sein, right? Say Ken sein. Maybe not. We should all have a regular dumb phone, and we won't have any of those problems, right? But over Tomer, based on good, fine. This is not a time management program. Sorry, I got sidetracked. Over, we got what's urgent and important as mechanchim is avidas hatfila. Is was tut sich mein Yiras Hashem, Avas Hashem. I gotta give these kids Avas Hashem, Yiras Hashem. Is was tut sich with mein Avas Hashem? That's the urgent and important question. That's more important than the shir. The shir, I know that I can't get away with it. I come to my nicht zugegrätet, hey, let's hang bushes. So everything else, I think I can get away with it. You can't. You got to understand the same way you can't get away with saying a lousy shir. You can't get away with having lousy Yerushalayim of the Nazi. The Ikir is the Rebbe teaches us it's nicht negea masha hoya hoya. The Rebbe's gang is hind from the head, but hind that tafkid. So you say it's a big you say the Rebbe's gang. We don't get caught up in the past. Because getting caught up in the past is right there. You're getting caught up with yourself. You're getting sidetracked. What's the stuck up? Where's 20 years of my life? Who cares? What's the stuck up? No, that's you really care about it. Hind, what's good mice, men maros. Can't say mice, men maros, I mean, mice. He says, I heard the story from him many times. So those Goldman, who's there? He left already. Nee, du bist da, Goldman, Choni Goldman. Das bist nicht du. Choni, how's that? How's it going? Fine. Your Bobby still can I know? Yeah. So Pinto used to go to Mendel Asach. Pinto Olavashol. Nicht mit uns. So anyways, so Pinto used to come there. So before Shabbos, Pinto used to bring in a bottle, like again, and put it away. So his wife didn't like, right, certain things. Rosa didn't like. You should say, give you certain hakbols. But Shabbos, Pinto came to the Kiddush and he went to his hiding place to get his butler. And his wife caught him, started studying, speaking Pinto. So Mendel was listening down and said, he couldn't walk anymore. Shaito, Pinto, leisachmid. Pinto. Anyways, I forgot you told me I can't say certain below the belt jokes. I'm sorry about it. I guess. Let's get into this. Anyways, the Meiser does say, Mendel said that when he was a kid, he was born in Lubavitch, Mendel. And then when the Rebbe Rashab went to Rostov, so Chonye got to Rostov, I don't remember when, but eventually Chonye's family came to Rostov. So the kids, Poshet, grew up with the Rebbe Rashab's, with the Rebbe's kids' family. Like they knew them. They were kids from the first marriage. They were older already. They were best friends, like all Reb Shmuel Maroz's great aunts, yeah. They were Poshet best friends with the Rebbe's and the sisters. I don't know the details. A lot of stories with the connections, the Maroz's with the Rebbe's and his daughter. It's nice. But anyways, this story is Dr. Mendel Azer. Mendel says when he was a little kid growing up in Rostov. He was born, I think, Ein Zayin, something like that. So, Ein Dal, so early. Wow. Okay. No, he wasn't. He was born, I think, Ein Zayin. Ein Vov, okay. So, anyways, he says that the kids, he was a kid and he was to run around from his apartment to the Rebbe's apartment. So in the early days, the Rebbe was laying on the couch, resting on the couch. And the Friedrich Rebbe sees Mendel running in the house. So he tells his daughters they should bring Mendel over to him. So there's a few stories. One of the stories was that he put him on his stomach. They asked to put Mendel on his stomach. Put him on his stomach. So Mendel says, I felt ich war allein nicht auf dem Lebensbuch. So he jumped off and went away. He says, wollte ich sich durchgerät, sag mit dem. Ich habe genommen sein Wort, sich durchgerät, sag mit dem. Oh, shit. So he says, the Friedrich Rebbe says to him, Jingele, wie heißt du? It's Mendel. Nee. Dein Name is Hon. Fluster, that's your name. This started going on every time he sees him. Wie heißt du? Hon. Then he goes, wie macht er Hon? So there was a Yid in Rostov's name was Reb Zalman Edels. That was his name. And he knew how to copy Balichayim. So he took Mendel to the chicken coop and he told him at noch machen a chicken wie es das ist. And Mendel was Farbrengen. He used to get up with his was gewaltig. He mamish could copy a chicken. Gedenkst du? So good, that was the story. And that went on for that was the story. He said Simchas Torah one year, maybe Toshen Chofet he was, I think that's what he said. He took a lot of mashkin. He went to the Rebbe. He started asking the Rebbe, was it with the Rebbe rufen Hon? It was bothering him. Something's up here. What the Rebbe called me a Hon? What's going on? Ich meine, wir wissen doch bei der Rebbe, wie teilig wenn jeden Wort von Friedrich Rebbe. Der Rebbe wuchs in sie mir den ganzen nicht negeja. Der Rebbe told, he starts asking again. Der Rebbe says, mir sind ganz nicht negeja. Mir ist negeja, was tust du heint? Das der Rebbe told. Mir ist negeja, was tust du heint? So, Chayla, the Pshat, was of course, it's Negeya. Aber, du fragst, Stamm, Historie, willst du wissen, der Rebbe kommt mir Ahon, wird liegt in sich, geh fein, das ist Negeya. Willst wissen, weil dir ist Negeya, was tut sich mit dir heim? Und wie Meile, was darf ich mir sagen sein? Sie was, der Rebbe kommt mir, und das ist eine andere Scheile, gut. Das kann man reden, das ist doch dort, you know. The Meister, the Friedrich Rebbe, there was one guy, it's like some the Meister, this is a Meister Mendelfoot was the tell this Meister, it's in the books, all in the books. So he says, there was a Chosid, his name was Avram Bar Chunke, something had some last name, I don't remember. And 1 year Purim, Friedrich Rebbe Geret Sharfe di Purim, that everyone has to go and see the Nefesh in his city, machen Yiddishkeit, machen Achide. And then this elder Yid, his name is Rabbi Efreim, got up. He told the Friedrich Rebbe, ich bin great. Elder Yid, got up. Told the Rebbe, ich bin great. The Rebbe says, good. Das wird man reden, was zu tun dort. He showed on the cabinet, he showed on his Yechidis. Tomorrow, now is the Farbrengen, it's reden dort. The next day, this guy had a Yechidis, went back home, Tage aufgetan, Deals mit Zurich in sein Stadt. I think Hommel. I think it was in Hommel. This was in Samen Pevov, it was. Then came the Peites Tzadik later, and the yeshiva started closing down, Neville closed down. So Mendel, Futterfass already had to go in Mesiris Nefesh, in a city. I think he ended up in Hommel, had to open over there up a Stikli yeshiva. Where did he stay? At this Avram's house. He's been tired, this Avram, for the Krish Shalomit jeden Nacht. A shoreline, mamish mit moy shol, altered. So he said, Yemol, Yene Yorin, ask a eltere Chossid, was is sich gerett in Kabinett, with a chutzpah. He said, you know what's wrong, why not? You go to a guy, you know what I mean? Hi, I'm from, Channel 5. I want to know what the Rebbe tell you. Like, why not? Aber I'm all going to Edelkeit. Aber von deswegen, Mendel got the courage. He asked Rabbi Avram, he said by Rabbi Avram, if you could please share with me, what's the given Yemen? Listen to this, made in it. So Avram says like this, der hat mir gesagt, ist daheim gehen, du wirst fasten 3 Messlesen. You're going to fast for 3 Messlesen. Du wirst Schuhe tun, daven. I think 3 or 2 on the morning of the 3rd, I'm not sure, or the morning of the 4th, you're going to come to shul. People, Hommel is a lebedike stot. Even with the communists closing down half of the Meisdis, but still, the Yidden, a community of hundreds and thousands of Yidden. This is frail. No, but then they were giving it to communists, and they weren't sending their kids to Talmudeters. They are laying on the land, and dance. They were frail for Yidden. You're going to get up, nach dem Fasten, und du wirst es reden der Herz. You're going to give you es reden der Herz. So wir sagen, I'll give you what to say, du wirst reden von deinem Herzen. Und später wirst du sehen, es wird zukommen einer und einer zweiten, bis wir werden am Matze, wenn nach Habura, das ist viele betroffen. So he did that. He fasted, ugly fasting. Then he went up on the bima after the 3rd day. And he told the Eden, "Sie wird nicht sein, weil so ein Kaddish noch dir." Started screaming at, "Was tragt mir? Da haben Jüdischkeit. Ich bin gerät. Schick mir die Kinder, ich laufe nach Ede." So kommen einer, nach zweiter und nach dritter. And this guy, is gehalten, alle gaat hem alter red. Is gehalten, ich had door. Je weet niet, is nefesh. Alter red, ga je even is nefesh, is gehalten, ich had door. Was ist unsere Messias Nefesh? Das Baruch Hashem. Von uns, Monten ist Fasten, 3 Mess lesen. Der Rebbe lässt uns essen, Baruch Hashem. Der Rebbe gibt uns was zu essen. Aber dann, von uns Monzach, ein bisschen Monnen von sich. Leben ein bisschen höher. Like wie Itim lernen Chassidus, darf der Herrn, als lernen Chassidus jeden Tag, ist kein Nafsche, ist eine Gebe Nafsche. Ist eine Gebe Nafsche. It says, as a ton darf lernen Chassidus every day, an hour. Stam as Chasidim, they have to learn Sheni v'chamishi a half an hour. Right, that's what it says. It was Pshat, man lernt doch 3 Chassidus, and now I'm man 4 Chassidus. The Pshat, everyone says the Pshat like this. that when B'shas me gefindt sich mit Chutzl Keis der Yeshiva, it's Chanukah vacation, or später noch in Chasana. Is a Tomim darf lernen Chassidus jeden Tag a short Zeit. Dann a Kvi ist in Benefesh. So wie a Kvi ist Benefesh. A short Zeit lernen Chassidus. We have to feel. I heard Fitcher Pesner says he remembers growing up. His father worked a hard day. He put an honest day of business. He had a shop. He owned the shop. He had people working for him. Every night he came home, took a bichel chassidus and would sit and learn chassidus into the night. That's the way he remembers his father. And he said, "Listen with a bichel chassidus." And Agav, that chain, is the same shlichus but with our own children. The other day in the Wildorf, houden we chassidische kinder, and the ik is doch zijn adugmechaya. Can move him again, Posh. We darf Poshit houden a fagenigen learner chassidus. And the kids will listen. If you're looking for Tati, he's not on the couch. He's not on the recliner. He's not on his phone. Sitzt mit der Safe and learns this. Lernt Nigla. Dort give them treffen. They said the meaning of kids is if you give them too much apple juice before you go to sleep. So by Erech, 11, 12, they get up to go to the bathroom. Like this, das ist on. The kinder bei Yisrael is gewachsen. The gedenkst nicht. You know, about if du sich den Mann am Morgen jenig was kommt now, no? They go. So is who bist du? That and your kid at the mitten of the night, that's when the kids remember. For the rest of their lives, they remember. You know, he said to him, my father, whenever I woke up, he was by the table learning. He slept 5 hours a night, 6 hours a night. At 11, 12 o'clock, he was sitting and learning. Taka learned every night till 12 o'clock. And when that Yingo woke up to go to the bathroom, his father was always learning. Taka. Why should we deny our kids such a schus that the rest of their life don't know? Was heißt Ayid? Ayid sitzt beim Tisch und lernt. Valget sich Sforim auf der Rebbe tot, ich sage ihm in Yechidus, soll sich allemaal valgen in Sforim auf deinem Tisch. Er tot sich in Yechidus. Valgen in Sforim auf the Tisch. Your dining room table has to always be a mess with Sforim. Don't have your own office in your house. Some people, they have their own office, open a cabinet. You know the mice with the cabinet. It's a good mice. So when Shmuel Gerari did, Yisrael Nevler, alte mice. He took Yisrael Nevler to be a malamed for his kids. So Yisrael Nevler, he went into Yisrael. He went to Shmuel Gerari. He said Shmuel Gerari had a cabinet. He had his special room. By the Chreisish, by uns, I never saw such a thing. By the Gvirim, and by the Polish, they make themselves a Asurim Stiebel, it's called. Asurim Stiebel. They're like Asurim Stiebel. Come in, stay a little room. I get out now. If he's learning out Machter State, maybe sits with his checkbook. I have not checkbook, the minute. If you have a Asurim Stiebel, you also have your checkbook there. Good, fine. But he asks Shmuel Gerari, was ruft man das die Kabinett? Shmuel Gerari said, no, was? Well, dort sitzt der Kaban allein. The Kaban in Russian means a pig. Zwei besondere Werte. A Kaban with a cabinet. He said, dort sitzt der Kaban allein. So he got so offended. Says to him, noch dein Chutzpah, was du gedarf sein, mehr Chosid. Sie soll nicht tells him, und noch dein Chadrschaft, was du gedarf sein, mehr Gewir. This is the way the story goes. It's a mental food of us, says it. I think it's on tape. You hear him saying the story. Yisrael Nevler, even I'm a lamed. He was done a lamed. The Chassidische Melamed, even Yisrael Nevler. The Talmidim that learned by Yisrael Nevler had a schus kilo. Learned by Yisrael Nevler. Chassidische Ried, you were shaykh to say Ashir, you were shaykh. Aber nein, the Rabbi wanted to be a Melamed. Soll sein der Melamed. That's the Yisrael Nevler. Because he had an emissary heart. He gave the kids obviously Yisrael. He gave me a Shemaim. Don't waste them on the ältere Bocher. Das ist all besser sein mit den Kindern. Soll einpflanzen bei den Kindern. Jedes Hashem, alles Hashem. Schön, das ist der Ringe. Das ist unsere heilige Arbeit. Unsere heilige Schlichis. Sein, Poschel. Not Poschel liegen in den Jungen. Das ist auch nicht mehr ein Chassidus, wisst ihr? Das ist nicht da in Herren Droschen. Darf lernen, was darf. Weißt du, kein Never. He has no appetite. He goes to the doctor. Mit darf essen. Weiß ich was. Wir darf essen. Also kommt der Appetit, ist so forget it. It's not a doctor. It's going to the Baruch Hashem. Sie gewonnen auf normal. Aber lernen, es wird normal. Wir will lernen, wir will davenen. Das ist doch. Chaim, Lerochen. Sagt Lechaim. Chani, du möchtest sagen Lechaim. Chazan, Meister. A whole hesped for your grandfather tonight. No? Reb Zalman, you remember your father, El Vasholem, I just Yankee. They'll Shishi, prepared the Gemara for the rest of the week. That's it. You were lucky. You had such a father. What, Hanromek? What says? Of course it did. It's made his father, the Avram Karp, we have the Kil Avram, right? The people like to listen to you. Edelchi learn for the Gemara on the Chayt Sahem. So Avram Karp, I heard from my uncle Yankee, Yon's brother, that he Thursday night stayed up the whole night and learned. He used to give us a Gemara in Daf Yomi. He sat in the Horov the whole Thursday night and learned 7 blot that he's going to have to teach the next week. And he used to write down the Kudus, he had to ma'ayin and more. This was Yankee says. I'm saying it accurate, pretty much. It's amazing. What do you get from it? He wasn't paid for it. It's he got nothing from it. He had a job. He was a angestellter in a yeshiva. He gave a shir. He did this. Possible same shemayim. Aber wenn Ayid sitzt da, sitzt da paar Nacht, und lernt, gut, es muss sein, Scheich ist eine ganze Nacht, aber mal, weil Shishi sitzen bis 2, 3 am See, lernt Chassidus. It's so out of the question. Tomorrow is a short day, just have to be in Cheder till 12. Takale. What's your Shabbos, Freitag zu Nacht. All that is a Freitag zu Nacht. Same thing. It's early Friday, we're so tired. But it's not the word, the gelegen night that you have Friday night, to have a spur on your own children. Me fällt von the Keches, we will schon gehen schlafen, richtig. Aber the kids are not falling from the Keches. The kids are sitting to play. So what does Tati do on Shabbos? He snores. Or, say, Shabbos, Tati sits by the table. They learn for Kutateta, Smavah Seder. So as gula, not the full, the person eat a little bit less right now, but the meal, a little less challah helps. So as gula, you shouldn't feel so bloated, bloated. Never Shabbos we eat today. Can I know how we eat, man? Yeah. Back on Empire Boulevard, when we were growing up, there wasn't much to eat. There was like a salad, a piece of gefilte fish, and my father gave us 1 cup of soda. That was it. Today, can I know how to get the Yiddish kinder to essen? It's going on at a Shabbos table. There's all kinds of fish, with this salmon fish, a regular gefilte fish and balls and tomato sauce, or a sliced gefilte fish. There's grain to go along with it. Versteht sich, maybe anders. And später you have chatzilim, kommen salaten. I mean, what are you killing? You're killing the kid. You're killing, forget it. I mean, you can't stein out in the sourdough. The sourdough, forget it. You can eat half a sourdough. You're ready to go after the meal. You're like, you need a lift to get you out of the seat. So, forget about it. So, like, that was mag will sein. Then my mat yes make a bait. Like the Rabbi would do. You take a piece of cake, like it's weg. Now they're about a boss of sich. That's that. Basically, you dip it in, eat your thing. And sing an again. Say, you must see das from the food. Sagt dann, du hast das sicher. The aim is, when's the time for us to be mechanic our kids? It's Friday night, that's them. Shabbos by day, ik is Friday night. Flat in the winter time, Friday night meal. That's when mechanic. How is that? So what does the kid see? Who's the father? What's to tell? I looked in the restaurant, he's pulling out some mishpacha during the meal, he's bored. Sitzt wie ein Mensch, esst wie ein Mensch. Später gleich. The kids could be eating still more. Sagt nicht, später sagt das sicher, lebt in dem Wort, erzählt chassidische Mais. You have to prepare. It's an alte word. She never stands in the kitchen and she cooks the whole day. And we come, we eat it. It's like they have the Noshim Tzikonis do a lot of askonis. So by the bris, you want to give kibbut to the ladies, and the husband to come that give for the kisses shalelio. Etut garnished. She stays up nights preparing. We get them the kisses shalelio. That's the gate. So she works her head off. When we come to the meal, we garnished. But that zayin heilige mensch, heilige man. She worked hard. Now you, zayin mensch. Machas du Shabbos. Machas du Shabbos. But we see the snap. She's post. I'm old. My mom is state for matter. This is worth it. Let me see the snap. The kids are, obviously, Geschmack. The Geschmack da weide. Yeah, there ain't a ways. Remember when yeshiva? What was Geschmack when we were in yeshiva? If we worked hard to understand the Gemara, you mean Geschmack. You wrote a ha'orah. You had a ha'orah. But how did you write the ha'orah? Da mutschen sich und hören und übertrachten. Und das ist gewinnt Priamole. Das ist gewinnt die ganze Simche. Das ist all derich so, das ist all Sache. Bein arech. Was darf man hören? Darf hören, ja geit über ihre, darf hören ihre Schemaim. Hören Exodus. Auf Leben. Lernen auf Farbrengen. Und auf Asach Farbrengen. Chass zwischen sich. Gotta find the right shul. It's around shul da. Gotta find the right shul. A good kiddish. Man sagt L'chaim. So von wem zu hören. You have to Farbrengen zwischen sich. We gotta Farbrengen. All Farbrengen is going. You get the rusty tires. Chaim Lebroch. Ich meine, ich rede über Bedarf. Ich meine, zwischen sich. Today, you don't tell the kids Bedarf. You say, we're able to, we get to. Ich verstehe. Aber von das, ich rede aber zu sich. Zwischen uns gerät. Das ist unsere Tafkid. Ja, mit halten ein liegen in der Rebbe Sichis, in der Rebbe Zinyonim, but there's a certain Sichis Kedesh is nothing like listening to a Farbrengen or Poshe take me a Shabbos Farbrengen for Sichis Kedesh. Basically, maybe Teres Menachem. Also, I personally find Sichis Kedesh to be a lot more Lashon Arav. Now, the Rebbe has gesagt, it's Mechayin Nef, Poshe Mechayin Nef. Weißt doch, in dem Gufe, the Geschmack, the Yuz, the Chovs, the Lamed, the Mems, every, you do them first. And the Rebbe is Poshet Mechaya. Vater Mechaya is cool, and the Rebbe is Poshet Mechaya. The Rebbe Sichis, you learn the Rebbe Sichis, you listen to the Rebbe's Farbrengen, it's the Poshet Mechaya, the Rebbe macht gut. The Rebbe bringt a Reis bei uns, wie Geschmack, wie gut sie ist, zu sein, ob nach Scheiches. The Siche, I saw a huge Shvat Farbrengen. The Rebbe stellt sich, the Rebbe says like this, the Rebbe says, the Rebbe started the Farbrengen, and the Rebbe asked, the Kashe, the Magid asked once, wie können uns mit Roim geben dem Eibischen Vergnügen? How can we give the Eibischen time? Was can I gemacht, she machen? What can we do? Magid answered, the Moshe with the Tzipper and Medaber. Richtig, we can nicht geben dem Eibischen anything special. We can't really give the Eibischen something. Because everything we give the Eibischen, comes from the Eibischen. Aber das was we, we're the Nevroim, and we give it to the Eibischen, Tzachid. Because we, Nevroim, feel ourselves to be in the Nevroim family tools. And Apple became, we come and we try to put a nice something for the Eibishter. We make something for the Eibishter. It's a chidush. The Rebbe asked, and this Magi, the Rebbe asked, the Sheyeda, Bishleim in the Moshel, the Tzipper doesn't come from the person. It's a Zipper brings time by a person. But the Rebbe there was gegeben the cases that we should go and give the Rebbe the case. What's this? A spiel? It's a kinderspiel. The Rebbe asks, what's going on? The Rebbe answers like this. The Rebbe says, when we don't feel how the Rebbe is giving us cake. We feel that we're talking the fraud. We don't feel the Rebbe is there was state on and pumping us with chayes and giving us cake. We don't feel it. We feel fakir. After PK. We serve the Rebbester. Do the Rebbester wants. So Hagam, those goof is coming from the Rebbester. But because we don't feel it, the Rebbester rechnet us, Geilu, Miram, das getan. Und es fall auf them, the Moschel von Sieben mit der Bere. That's the Rebbester. Das geht der Rebbe weit. The Rebbe sagt. Eba, sagt der Rebbe, kommt at Lefio MS, who's Taka doing it over here for us? The Rebbe. The Rebbe says, speak clear. The rest of the Rebbe's case. How's the Rebbe? We ourselves can't do anything. Not like in the Moshel of the Sipper and the Rebbe. Sipper tut saleh. We can't do it on our own. We need the Rebbe should help us. And the Rebbe Taka gives us his cases. Hey, Bazei, let me doch have the Rebbe's cheshbon. Is Isaac nicht magul mit Sam? Shalom is the Rebbe's cases. Use it out in Ganzen. You're anyways not really doing it. The embassy, the Rebbe is doing it for you. We could do Mekayim Ashlichis. We have the Kech to do. Wer can Luft an Ashlich? The Rebbe can Mekayim Ashlich. We could do it. The Rebbe is uns Mechaya. We don't feel it. Oh, but the embassy is. It's all the Rebbe's Kech. Sollst du verstehen, dass du hast sich der Rebbe's Kech ist. Und in Meile sollst du Tage, Aris gehen von Allah Akbolis and do that. Don't be magul yourself. I can do it, but I can only do this. I can only do that. Right? Because you're looking at yourself the way you know yourself personally. Every one of us can have these games from sich. Why? Because we're on the Shona. We're bleak vul, we're connected to the Eibishter. All the Akbolas that to the chapter of the The MSCs, the MS were connected to the Rebbe, connected to the Rebbe's bleak. You see me look. Seeing the light is going, Shlichis. This Lamoshel Chayenu, they print 30,000 copies a week. I just heard that today. There's 30,000 Yidden learning Chitas with the Chayenu. And the Pashtus, it wouldn't be a guzma to say, at least half of them would not be learning Chitas if there wasn't the Chayenu. I don't think it's a guzma. I've had there was some that would still, they would learn the regular Chumash Rashi, or today I have our school, but at least half of them would not be doing chitas. It's too hard. For some reason, I mentioned Cup. I don't know why. He's one format. English. It does make it easier. It's in everybody's house. The Chayim, the Nosim, and everyone uses it. Even the Am-Nosim use it. So interessant. Michael Goldman is the guy that made it. Punkt. He happened to be in Morristown. And so he stayed at our house for Shabbos. He was alone. And by the Shabbos day, he says, he's thinking of this idea. He's always having, always has dreams of what he's doing. He does, by the way, most of his dreams. It's the kind of peilich. Fine. And then it happened. Amen. One guy. Und dann kommt 30 Thesen, Tiden, lernen Chitas und Rambam, Perikechas jeden Tag. You know what that means? 30 Thesen, Tiden. Das ist gekehrt an der Welt. Der Rebbe ist gekehrt an der Welt. Everyone's thinking the Rebbe must be talking about Zusha Bogomowski or Misha Sloan, he doesn't mean me. What can I really do? I could, what can I do? I could eat breakfast. I could maybe teach a class, and I can't do much. Maybe I get overwhelmed with it, much more than that. Bis gerecht, mein Mund nicht von dir to print 30,000 copies of Chayim. Aber mein Mund von dir noch dein MS. Geh a race from your self-created Hakbolos. You have self-created Hakbolos. Can you learn if you want to try it? When was the last time you tried? Make a quiz and see this. Today you have shiurim. Hey, when was the last time you learned to have mind of be'iyum? So get shiurim to the Yale. Today you can look up in the Hegel Achsidis. Oitzar Achsidis is a website. Oitzar Achsidis. You go to the Rebbe you want, you pick the Shiurim, can't stand Shiurim from Kol Mini Mashpin. Can't stand them today. When was the last time you heard a Shir and Chassidus? Learn, learn a Hamshik. When was the last time you learned a Hamshik? It's Yitzim, that is like Hey, you know, you come and say, you ask us 770, but what's learns too? In the morning, by night, the Rebbe my morning. Basically means I learn. Halavai is coming in the morning. The next time I was learns, I learns my love, I learn things about it. I talk to them, I make it. Asking young man, so what do you learn of this? I'm working on, he's working on something. He's working as a project to get up in the morning, and then to figure out which sefer he wants to learn. What do you think would be a good hamshich from the Rebbe's my morning? You know? If you really want to know what I think, I'll tell you. But anyway, it is, when was the last time a young man took a hamshich? You know, I in Muncie, Heichel Menachem over there, so Chalarein dort namo. Ayid tells me, he teaches them in the Sifter. And in the summer, he had a few weeks off. But they learned the whole summer. The guy, when they butcher is the Malamdim there, crazy. They get paid less than us. Kitzer, he says to me, I had a good night. I took Shara Yichud Ve'amunah from the Zamon. Came out of book, Shara Yichud, you say, Zamon. This is all about you. No, this is our vision at seeing a man. What about us? When was the last time as the head of a the vase was too the Rebishter is Hechter und Hechter, Le Adinke. Was ich verstanden nicht. Le Adinke. Well, the Rabbi gegossen auf uns Chassidus. Was? Like the Rabbi says, this is a Politzer. The Rebbe wants we should push it. The Mechanikim, this is for uns. That push it, kochen sich Chassidus. Mamish. Learn a Hamshich. Und Herr Ashir, und schreib auf dem Shir. Schreib, you're a Shir. Write it down. Write it down. Take a machberes. Yeah, then, give a machberes. You know, like the Talmidim buy these. You buy for yourself a machberes. Und hey, bon, gehst da durch a Hamshich. You learn the Hamshich, und schreibst darauf, du chazest den, du lebst den Hamshich. Und Shabbos feiern da, und trachst da rein den Hamshich, 15 Minuten. Heb sich auf, es ain't so, es ain't so. We're going to stay the same at some narish asogis. So tutza. Basically, the Meister, here the Meister says, I'm all given a rov. Then sehr clean kettle. It's a Meister Shahoi. In Moonshine's book that came out now, Sefer, he writes over there, he has a letter printed from someone, but that sailed Ben Meister, and there, Eden, everything gekannt. Then we're off talking, and they laugh at him in the letters, they're laughing. I gedenk them noch von Russland, when I grew nach Kleinstädtel. He never realized gemeint die ganze Welt dreht sich herum sein kleiner gut gelernt. Ja, is invited to Sadi Kedushin somewhere a weiter Stadt. He didn't imagine it's a weiter Stadt. He thought, understand me, you go a half an hour, the Meister is traveling in the gate. He asked the Balagol, and I'm schon angekommen. No, it's just a lang weg. Fine, he's back. Another 50 minutes later, are we there yet? No, not there. It's a gate. So nice. They got to travel hours and hours to get there. Sie verstehen nicht. Sie sind nach Hause in Russland. The guy says, are you kidding? Yeah, du hast alles da lang zum Zar. So, he couldn't believe it. Yale says, ist doch, as a Melenishkin Chassidus, is mamish wie in der Welt. Dat Melenishkin der Herren, was tut sich da Eibishter auf der Welt. The Eibishter is grace. Avram Mayor, when the Eibishter is right. He died away, and what makes it? He took it, der hätte nach ihm, that was by him Reichkeit. Shoot him on. Oh, and Shem is men, was scheicht jeder eine von uns, every one of us. Learn Geschmack an mein Herz, und die Reichheit von alle Kurs. Danke, es ist Hecher von uns, bin Arisch von uns. You think sitting with Poshet forcing themselves with Iskafia to learn Siddur, Meister? They had the time of their life. That was their escape. That was the Poshet Kipshut. That was escape. That was a good time. I'm sure that Kitzer, this has to be jeder eine der Vereinheit. Vereinheit. Der Rebbe gibt a bisschen Menuchas an rest. We have times in life, it's not so Menuchas an every day. Great things are going on. Chas v'sholom, when we tappel with Atzorah Tzivos. Der Rebbe helft amol. Der Rebbe soll allemaal helfen. You have a good time. Menucha. It's a brentnish. You don't have to make a shidduch for one of your kids right now. You have a break. You're breathing. And finances are working out somehow. You're not worried about paying your next mortgage. You're breathing. Oh, nehmt a maimer. Now is the time. Now don't sit in the couch and take the mishpacha. Baruch Hashem, we can lean in the mishpacha. Nehm sich zum Marbe. Nehm dem Bichun, hore da rein, chap da rein. Sometimes, your wife goes on a vacation somewhere. You have a few days, whatever. Nu, Baruch Hashem, jetzt bist du Podig geworden von der Mitzvah. Jetzt darfst du sich nehmen zum Marbe. Nehm a Pirike Shas. Learn more to be und ich weiß so, aber learn, nehm de, heb on der Herrn der Reichheit von Olikus. We gotta give the kid, and später kommen sie die Kinder. The kids right away feel, they're Malamed. It's a hefere Mensch, it's a lebendiger Mensch. I swear what he says, he tells me he remembers he's growing up. Yankel Shvei was there, like teaching Yankel Shvei. He was Yankel Shvei, and he says, by Lis Holashon, you felt on them Yiddish mind. You felt they were Rabbi. The Tanya, the whole Tanya meant more. Rabbi Lis, Rabbi Shvei, Yiddish mind. So he's using out every second. And this wasn't negay the sheer that he said. This wasn't negay. Negay given was given. I love it. I love it. Das arbeiten und Baruch Hashem, das ist unsere Arbeit. Unsere Arbeit ist Porsche, Geschmack. We have the best life. We push it. We live the high life. The life. Never. The guy out there. Never. They have hard lives. They drive fancy cars and they have complicated lives. We have a Geschmack life. Mom is the best life. Simple. You know what we want. The left in them. The two the Meibishten Zarbe. And we can't imagine, I'm sure everyone over here knows, at least 1, 2, or 3 years later comes back, and someone tells you should know that he's today from, he stayed in the system, all because of you. Because you're obviously Sroil, and you're MS, you're this, you're that. Tust du dein Schliches? Du ratest mit den Meibishten Kinder. Schut die Mann. We're not, I'm a lamed, it's not our job in Chinuch, like a second class, we're losers. Mom is not like that. It's Poshet, it's not. You have to be shayl, so not the word. Mom is not the word. I don't have to talk about this, right? Avram, that wasn't that, not, verstanden gepasst. We're Poshet Glikla. We're the most glickliche people, and Klekede. Oh, we darf Tage sein Klei Kedesh. Wir dürfen sein Klei Kedesh, Avedas, Kedesh, Alein, Kosif, so, das ist trocken Gesundheit, liegen in dem, und Freilichkeit. And the Rebbe takes care of us. The geht sich hier zum Rebbe, and the Rebbe takes care of us. The Rebbe takes care of us, und Bonne, Chaim, Zene, sein, also sein, gut, und war nicht, aber Chaim. Oh, yeah. As Amai said, this is the way it goes. I heard the story. All the details are accurate, basically. But I say that as Amai, his name was Reb Notke Bar Kahan. I mean, he came out of Rosh in the Lamas and he just passed away years ago. So he was around. They called him Notke Riga. He remembered the food that he had from Riga. He was a kid. He remembered the food that Riga. He was Mekar Professor Brown. But you have to read in the book Return. Professor Brown, ever read the book? Very nice book. So there he speaks his entire Notke Riga. It's a Notke Riga. I heard a nice story from about Notke. He says that I think I read in the Beis Chayenu, they printed the Beis Chayenu. I think it's over there. They have like stam stories, not just human. They also have stories, interesting stuff. I think over there it says this Maisa. Notke Bar Kahan went by the Rebbe, and he told the Rebbe he was going with someone else. He told the Rebbe that he's tomorrow going to Eretz Yisrael because he lived in Eretz Yisrael. Then when the Iron Curtain fell, he went back to Riga. Something like that. I think he went back to Riga. He went back to Riga. Kitzer, So the Rebbe tells him, those abgeben is dock, I think in Argentina, in Brazil. The Rebbe said our name of a country. And Notke took the dollar and kept on going. The other guy was with Notke, he wasn't such a Lubavitch, he tells him, Tachamata? Says, yeah. Rabbi Amar Latet Zabis to Brazil. So he says to him, Avalatana say Eretz Yisrael. No, I'm going to say Brazil. Rabbi Amar Shlichut Brazil. The guy couldn't believe it. The North came with that pashtus. He told him he was going to Brazil. He's going to Brazil. He went to the travel agent and got a ticket to Brazil. The guy in Brazil. He comes to Brazil and he goes to the Shliach. He tells the Shliach, they have me geschickt though. So we're waiting for Shlichus. Shliach starts thinking. Shliach says, how's the fact? There's over here a family from Russia. And I know that the mother's mutching sich with her bocher, one of the older son, maybe this is the shliach. Let's start with this. Let's see what happens. So he took a taxi to the house, comes to the house. She spoke in Russian to him. When there was Gewalt, she could find speaking in Russian, explain what's going on. She was crying. She gave her whole life to raise a Yiddish kid. And the bocher dreht sich mit der Schicksal. When's he coming home? He should be home soon. Oh wait, comes in. Notke starts Farbrengen with him in Russian. Met the bocher, thinking the Russians. Came back the next day, speaking Notke, he was like a bulldozer, a real guy, a big guy. After a week with this guy, the guy said he's ready to leave, go to Eretz Yisrael, to learn in my yeshiva. Notke took him to Eretz Yisrael. Hasen gab ein jüdischen Mädel. Das ist der Rebbe geschickt in Brazil. Das ist da, eine gute Story. Aber zu genommen, nicht sein kein Schwanz. Ich war in Eretz Akedisch. The Rebbe didn't hear what I said. Hey, stuff, with the pashtus. There was no cash in Teretz. With the pashtus. It was Brazil. It wasn't like the Rebbe didn't hear, although there was a Rebbe, the Mela. The pashtus. The kuz b'pshitis. Anyway, so the Meister goes like this. This Meister, I heard it from Lehman. I don't know where you heard it from. You heard it from somewhere. This is the way it goes. Somehow, the Chassidim, they found out about the stalkers of the Frierdiker Rebbe. How did they find out? They found out they used to, in Russia, with the radio, try to catch what was going on. They could catch the news from Eretz Yisrael sometimes. With radios, transistors, you had a special piece maybe, you could somehow catch foreign, what do you call it? So they used to try to get from Eretz Yisrael, and one time, they were together, a few Chassidim, and they caught and they understood from whatever was going on, that the Frierdiker Rebbe was nostalgic, and the Rebbe is the Rebbe. That's what they caught from a channel. So I don't know what year this was. It was right after Tosh Yud, maybe a year later. So Bob Yisho, they right away, they talk clear, not nicht. They heard. The Rebbe is the Rebbe. So Notke, they sat down with a Farbrengen. Notke himself, he was ready to brochen, but he made a chwota takif. And the Rebbe is the Rebbe. Und der Rebbe darf haben Soldaten und darf sein a freiliche Soldat. He made a chwota to himself, wird sein a freiliche. He made a move from going from station. Don't ask. He was one time gerade, here in the Schune, I eat battle food fast. I think it's a crime that you don't just knock on his door and talk to him. Anyway, I one time decided I'm going to knock on his door and talk to him. So I did it. I knocked on his door. And listen to this amazing story. I knock on his door, and his wife says, I came in, and his wife sitting there said, is Rebbe available? It's Shabbos afternoon. She said, he was upstairs resting. So I right away ran out. I'm not, no. She says, no. He wants me to wake him up to talk to Farbrengen. That's what he wants. The wife said. He said, it's in Bible. If he knows you came in, he's going to be very upset. Sit down. 5 minutes, comes down. He comes down. You look at it, it's fun, it's like mental foot of in the egg. Sit down. I bring 2 minutes. It's a so long summer Shabbos. I bring a few hours telling me stories. One of the stories he told me, I think you should have rein, man. Next Shabbos, knock on the door. Like, okay, geh rein. He was fast auf Shabbos. Geh rein, stand mit dem Helm talk. Krieg rein, bei ihm Stuhl. I'm a Anyways, his mom, he's like, he's a good guy, but he's a special guy, though. Anyways, so how do I know? I spoke to him for a few hours. He's gone. But he made a good impression. His mom made a special guy. Anyway, Dr. Azay, he told me this story. Huh? No, he doesn't talk. That's the thing. He doesn't like, hat sich natzen von sich. He'll never verbring like the Rab, never. Like, Push doesn't hold him. He beemes doesn't hold himself. He's not acting. Mamish. Stand, talk to you one-on-one. No problem. Talk or share. Ich give this mashpia. That will be told. Don't speak like that. This is a story. Anyways, he's very nice. Like he'll show you, take things out of his drawers. He goes to the Rabbi my taten. Goes to the Rabbi my taten. Takes out a picture. Goes to my taten. Like he's very nice. Like a Zaidi. He's very nice. Anyways, he tells me this story. I made him think of nice. He says, Mendel, his father, how did he hear that the Rebbe was installed, the Frierdiker was installed? Shvat. He was in jail then. He heard it from the Rishon. In the middle of the interrogation, they were going to break him. And he caught him the Yemes, at verstanden, understood? And his heart, forget. His whole guys was the Rebbe in the past. How did he live? He was the Rebbe. He was the Frierdiker Rebbe. That was it. Und der Rebbe was da. Noch, this is what the way Berel said. That when he learned in Charkov and in the pace, our Rebbe, came to Charkov for a day or two, and the Rebbe visited the yeshiva. This is people say the story. The Rebbe came to Charkov, he spoke to the Bachrim online, and Yutel Chitrik says it's on the tapes. The Rebbe came to Charkov. Und ich dachte, man geschuschke zwischen sich, the Rebbe in the mikveh, the Rebbe went to the mikveh. The Rebbe was wearing a long undershirt. What gewusst like Kabbalah, as a Rebbe wears a long undershirt. This is what he said. Never heard this before, only from him I heard this. He said, the Rebbe had an Eden, and he wears a long undershirt. He said, the Rebbe. He said, Rega Kemeru became a kushetz Rebbe. So first he says like this. No, how come other Gedalim V'Teilim couldn't do it? Mendel, his father, did it. First he said, the Taliman HaMekabel was Al-Mesh. The Al-Mesh, there was no Shvanz Yorishkeit. The Al-Mesh himself became in ganzen Mekushim Frierdiker Rebbe. He was Mamish Mekush the Rebbe Rashab. And after the Istalkus, he became fire for the Frierdiker Rebbe. How did he do it? And he used to say, it's a word that the Rebbe said once. The Rebbe says, Al-Mesh is a word, Chazmin and Beis Harab. What was the word? Al-Mesh used to say, there was hot nicht dem Rebbe dem Sohn und nicht gehad der Rebbe die Tate. That's what he would say. You're not bekushet at the Frierdiker Rebbe, you're full of baloney. You just nicht gehad der Rebbe die Tate. Was kein Verstand was a Rebbe, is a drink a kop. Al-Mesh was a chos. The Meile, Mendel, Kente. Then he said, this was the Tate you want to bekushet. Well, er geht darf a Rebbe. He was in jail. How are you going to survive without a Rebbe? As me darf dem Rebbe. Rebbe schon gefunden, jetzt ist es Kasche werden. Steht, each Porsche bill for us, yeah? Aber der hat das Tiefkeit von Avot, he's 100% right. He says, yeah, in America, life was good. Life was about the Rebbe. Yeah. Life was the chicken, how the chicken was for supper. This can be trachten, the kushel, to bring you there, when your life depended on it, you do understand the house. It's not gebar Kahan, he went to Rusland, and he needed a Rebbe. Had he gefunden Rebbe? He came out of Yeshiva. Oh, so years, fast forward 20 years. Came out of Russia, I think in Lamed Aleph or something like that, maybe. And he didn't find his place in Eretz Yisrael. This is what Lehman said. The Ascon in Russia, they did like partisan Asconis. Like crazy kind of Asconis, right? And Eretz Yisrael was already a regular Medina. You got to do things normal. You got to work with the government. This, I like us also. We still have that syndrome. Like, what the going to the came from the government? Why? What? Just because of the government, you know? But we're coming from because I'd say this from Russia, like that, right? Anyway, so he came out of Russia and he couldn't find himself in Eretz Yisrael. They're working balabatish, and he was very zerbrochen. This is what he came out of Russia for. He was more alive in Russia than he's in Israel. Israel, he feels like a kaker. He's not doing anything. Came to the Rebbe first to show. And when he's settled, he wrote to the Rebbe. It's a clap. He's not finding his place. The Rebbe looks at him. The Rebbe says, "What a opgeret and da zijn afreilige soldaat." For a second, he didn't know what the Rebbe was talking about. The Rebbe was looking, oh, so much man. 20 years ago, when you heard in his style, he said, "It's untergenommen sein afreilige soldaat." That's what it said. Und Taka hat sich untergenommen, he went back to him with andere Mut, and he found a place, he macht a yeshiva, for a chizbah, he found a stones, and then he went back. Und upon him, then the kude, as vayihim mam, da sein a freiliche soldat. Dit sei skastus. Ich bin a freiliche soldat. Ich bin verbunden mit dem Reb, ich gebe dem Reb. Gut, macht sich, ein bisschen Schwierigkeiten, der Marbit. Was hat es zu tun, wenn ich könnte sagen, MS, was ist ein freiliche Soldat? Was hat es zu tun? Chaim, wir sollen der Herren unseres Hus, muss man sein, im Leben Soldaten, ein freiliche Soldaten. Chaim,